it down, break it down. Step on the gas, let's get out of town. We gonna break out and have some fun. We gonna do what you never done. Oh yeah, yeah. Come on, take your body with you. It's a money weekend. Everything we wanna, we go do. We go do. It's leisure, we go do.
Hello everyone and welcome to another day of the Northern League of Legends Championship Summer 2024. My name is Alexandre Maya. I will be your host. And at the top of the mountain, Ruddy stands waiting for arrival. And today we'll finally know the name of the one who will move forward. On one side, Venom Crest are waiting to get revenge versus Ruddy. And on the other side, Nord wants to rise like the Phoenix. Welcome to semifinals and welcome to the desk. With that in mind, let's introduce Initialize, and there's a fox.
Ah, how'd the fox get here?
There is a fox, yeah. I've not been here very much, to be honest. My head is freaking huge here, guys. What?
Mine's remarkably small on this one, which is unusual
should I?
as well.
There you go. How's that?
Just to showcase the drip. Look at the drip.
Yeah, what can I say?
Wait, like, aren't you kind of going against your brand here with like the lizards on your shoulder? Shouldn't those be foxes?
Dude, this is a coyote. It's pretty bad, isn't it? Yeah. But yeah, these might be lizards. I don't know, geckos or something like that.
The ones on
it's
the shoulder.
Arizona, mate. So.
Hey, welcome to NLC. Lovely to have you here, by the way. Not only Dan will participate on this show of today, and we hope for the 5 game as well. This is the best of 5. So who's going to be screaming at the television and you probably lowering the volume? Well, it's Middlecott and Rudud. Welcome.
He'll be doing most of the screaming.
If I feel like it. If I feel like it, Archer.
If I feel like it.
What? Right, Archer. I'm not gonna like blow smoke up people's asses for no reason, okay? Unless we are getting banger gameplay, bro. Like, I'm not gonna be screaming or shouting at all. I'm sure that we're gonna get it though. I'm sure that we're gonna get it. There's no issues at all, mate.
I took a quick peek
What
at the
a lovely
predictions.
way.
I know that a lot of the desk are sort of aligned on that as well, with expectations for the series. So yeah, I'll not tease anything else, but bangers probably promised.
Now I'm. Hey, I want to see predictions now, but it's later on the show. But thank you, dudes, for making sure that people will stay. Middlecott, why are you scaring the viewers away? I love you anyway, and that mustache is just marvelous, by the way. Kudos to you. Let's toss it back to the desk with Initialize in the Foxtrot.
I've got some concerns about the smoke.
Please tell me.
And what Middlecott does in his spare time. Like, I've got some concerns.
Have you not heard that phrase before?
I have. I'm just being fun. I'm just having some fun.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
I was gonna, but I don't. Have you heard that phrase before, Archer?
No.
Blowing smoke up someone. Yeah. See, this is what
yeah,
I
it's
thought.
fine.
When he said that, you're probably like, what? What?
I got confused, but it's Middlecott, so I just accepted it.
It's just another British phrase, mate.
It's what he does in his spare time. It's a very common, cultural norm.
So a cool thing was that I kind of lived next to a lot of British people in 2022, so I often go back and try to recall if they ever used the phrase. If they didn't, I'm like, hey, it's a new one, I guess. But talking about the past, what happened in playoffs? Let's talk about that. We start off with Venom Crest versus Ruddy, and that was a banger.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes, it was. Do
it
you want to
was-
start this one, Foxy?
I mean, this is what we thought, where Ruddy was like just gonna walk away with this one, right? Like a pretty clean, easy peasy lemon squeezy. But Venom Crest really gave it to them, right? Like I wasn't expecting the fight that Venom Crest put up. It was kind of terrifying at times for Ruddy, thinking they might even drop into the lower bracket. But to be honest, this is all us just kind of hyping up the match a little bit. At the end of the day, they are inexorable, they are inevitable. Ruddy, fear them, dread them, they will find you. And so they did with Venom Crest.
Tell me Initialize, because you wanted to talk as well, so... Okay! As we were talking about Ruddy versus Venom Crest, it was interesting, the idea that somehow Venom Crest can still upfront to Ruddy and somehow make them sweat, but the idea, even though there's a lot of chaos, Fox, is that Ruddy is still Ruddy at the end of the day. So, do you believe like Venom Crest got caught out of their gameplay, or is this just Ruddy and they're just unbeatable on their chaotic way?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like Ruddy is it's always hard to bring Ruddy down for sure. That's just how they are, right? It's the reason why they're the best team in the NLC. But Venom Crest did do a lot of good stuff in that series. Like there's They certainly didn't just get walked over and give up or anything like that. And so it does mean coming into this series here, excuse me, that there are some positives, definitely some positives to take away. In fact, you know, I would say based off of what we've seen in playoffs so far, Venomcrest, you know, probably could be the favourites coming into this one. Not that Nords looked bad at all against their matchup with DMG, but really did bring it to Ruddy, and that's no easy feat.
And Ruddy showed a lot of different ways of gameplay, even though I believe it was mostly chaos. There was different sort of chaos. It's not all the same. It's not like, hey, we're gonna force you to fight on this, on that. It's like forcing a specific amount of fights while going for objectives at the same time, and that's scary to face off.
Absolutely, it's difficult when Ruddy have, obviously they have control over the chaos of the games, but then to see them bring out some macro as well was very impressive. And speaking of macro, the macro gods here in Nord did it again against DMG. Like, this was another incredibly close series, and at times I thought for sure, especially once we got into game 5, that this was DMG's series. I think DMG had the advantage. We're in the driver's seat for a lot of this best of 5 here, which went to 5 games, but Nord found ways to win, and that was the impressive thing, and that's what matters at the end of the day, right? And so we see now this is a matchup between Venomcrest and Nord, basically off of the back of Nord's ability to find these comebacks, to never be down and out. That's the important thing, and could be a critical part of this series moving forwards here against Venomcrest.
I'm hoping you can hear me now.
I got you. Okay, I got you.
Hey, there we go.
Back.
I managed to incredibly pull the cable out of my microphone, and then plugging it back in didn't work. So I'm a professional, guys, and I've done this many times before. And I got too excited, apparently whacked my cable out, which is very impressive, because we did get some amazing moments like this where Ecstasy pulls off a pentakill in the last game. I got to call him Smaug. I was very excited. Me and Foxy are having a great time, and honestly, with the way the series was going, I wasn't sure Nord were going to get here. The game was very slow. We saw an Akali that was at 0-0-0 for a long time, but Hunt started to find off picks in the side lane. But honestly, I think for this series, I'm going to say it, I wasn't that impressed with Nord this series. The fact it went to 5 games in the manner it did was a little bit worrying for me against a Venomcrest that I thought really grew into the series versus Ruddy. And I think this makes this matchup a little hard to call, honestly, all things said and done.
I agree with that. That is a good statement. I'll bring afterwards the conversation I had with both coaches, because they specifically touch on that subject. But also it highlights the fact that DMG is a scary team. They're going to be playing tomorrow on Last Chance qualifiers for the EMEA Masters. And I'm hopeful that DMG can bring this sort of flame on the Last Chance qualifier. It was also a good showcase of what DMG can do. On North side, well, remember on the interview with Yoka, he just stated like, this was not us, this was not us. But it's also like a good kudos to DMG for forcing Nord to play like that.
Well, DMG, honestly, I'm not going to lie, that should have been a 3-1 to DMG. They played really well in the 4 games, and then when game 5 came around, it should have been a 3-2 to DMG. But honestly, so as much as we can maybe, I don't want to say discredit Nord or criticize Nord for being in that position, bottom line is they won, right? And finding ways to win when you're up against it is an extremely important thing to do. You don't need to look any further than the LEC finals, right, with G2. Like, so G2 played, I think it was in the upper bracket finals.
I know where you're going, yeah.
7 games, right? 7 games in total. 4 against BDS, 3 against Fnatic. And in those 7 games, they won 6 and lost 1. And all the games they won, they were behind at 15 minutes, and the game that they lost, they were ahead at 15 minutes. So the ability to come back into League of Legends, you know, just because you find yourself up against it doesn't mean that you're out. And if the best team in the region, in Europe, can play like that, then there must be something to it. And so, you know, like, I'm saying Nord is adapting that strategy from G2. That's
a low blow, Foxy. So kindly put. But I think there is something to it in the sense that there is an element of clutch factor and winning ugly games. Winning games where you're behind, winning games when you're not playing at your best is still an incredible skill set to have. And having those moments where you can clutch it out, where you can scrap it out despite not playing at the best that we have seen from Nord in the regular season. The likes of Hunt and Yoka, I think in particular, and Romeo to an extent as well, didn't have their greatest series considering the level we normally expect from them, they still won. They still did it when it matters, and whether it was pretty or not is somewhat immaterial in the fact that they still went forwards. And that is a skill set that is something you can't deny. As Foxy was saying, look to the G2 series. The fact they won is still impressive, even if really that should never have happened.
So that's why when you get into playoffs, it's always the same. At the end of the day, I was better that day. And that's what you need to take away. So today we'll have the semifinals. And for you at home, you can also play. How are you? Good question. Join the Fantasy League. You only have 2 days ahead of you. So you need to compensate to win these prizes. Either the SteelCities Apex Pro TKL with the SteelCities Nova 7, SteelCities Nova 7 as a second place, and Middlecott's mouse, SteelCities Aerox 5, signed and delivered by him personally. There's a clip. He signed it. It's official, by the way. I'm just letting you know.
Has he duct taped it for posterity just so it feels like it's really his?
I think duct tape is like his go-to to anything. Like, hey, let's hang this, like anything, duct tape. So, if you want to know the players that are highlighted so far in the Fantasy League, I'll show you. Wow, this is a huge surprise. It's the first team, the first place team throughout the entire split. Yeah. So,
well, last year
predict them.
Fierce was there, wasn't he? Alex
He was.
Alex was dethroned by Fierce, so
it was like 5 minutes. 5 minutes of glory. That's all we need. But since you're talking about players, do you mind me testing that knowledge?
Oh, God.
Let's play a game of who's that player. So what I'm going to do is we'll show you a clip with no names. And there's a specific play that you'll need to guess who's that player.
Okay, and it's from the NLC. This happened.
Yes, it's from NLC.
He's just going to show his LP logs. He's like, I'm Portuguese, and then that'll be his
Now,
answer.
I could show you like a fight in the middle, like the mid lane of a team fight versus team fight with a team behind. You would guess it like Fnatic versus G2. So let's talk about this one. It's NLC. Let's start with the first one. Who's this player? If you want to take the guess, you just need to say, hey, I got it. So who's Lucian?
Jeez Louise.
Oh,
Look at him.
me. Is it Nata?
No. Look at him play. Changing for Kai'Sa, getting over the barrier. He doesn't
Is it
care.
Ecstasy?
Oh, that's a good one, but no.
Oh, Namex?
Do you think this is Namex?
I think it might be.
I'm glad to say that.
This is a warm-up round, right?
It's
Oh, it's Namex. Nice,
I was
nice.
like, is it Nata or Namex? I thought I recognized it. I was like, is it actually the playoff series? I should have known that.
It is. 1 point for you, my good son, Initialize. So, hey, Foxtrot, you won every single game you participated with me. I'm just letting you know.
Wasn't that when I was up against Duckling, so he rigged
Yeah,
it
there's
so
only one
he
guy
wouldn't
when it was
win.
rigged.
So, not sure that counts, but I'll take it, I guess. Yeah,
Second
that's
player,
fine.
who's this one? Who is Tristana versus Talia in the mid lane?
Alex.
Do you think Alex plays Tristana that often?
He plays AD, so I'm just going to
but look
assume
at
it might
those
be.
moves. It's not him.
Is it Hunt?
It is on 2 points for you.
close.
Oh, that was a
He's the
fast one.
Tristana player, I'm about to say.
He
Fair play,
is
fair
the
play.
Tristana player. 2 points versus 0 right now. Let's toss it to the third one. Who's that player on the third clip? I am actually enjoying these
Alaric.
clips, by the way.
It's Alaric.
Yeah.
Wait, the Zac?
Alaric!
Why do you
Yeah,
think Alaric is the
it's got
Zac?
to be him, right? Support
Why
Zach.
do you think
Who
that's
else?
the Zac? Yeah, it's actually Alaric. It is Alaric.
I saw the
Wow.
freeze frame.
Wait, was it showcased?
Yeah,
Oh, you just saw the...
no,
the,
it wasn't. I just saw
No,
it before they
it's
saw the
just
title.
Zach.
Yeah, Zach, it's got to be him. Yeah.
It's just Zach, isn't
Alaric,
it? It's
okay,
got to be.
3
It's got to
points.
be.
These last two are worth 2 points, so this is your
Wait.
time to compensate.
Wait, what?
Okay.
Who's this one? It's a Kai'Sa under the turret.
Okay,
What do you do
okay.
versus Zeddy? Think about it. 2 points. Both of you can guess. Oh, that's a good cleanse.
Is it Ecstasy?
No.
Oh, that was it. Okay. Is it X-Drop?
No, it is
Oh,
not. That.
Nata.
It is Nata versus Venom Crest. Roddy versus Venom Crest.
Was this
I remember
for
the play now.
playoffs?
Yeah,
Yeah.
so this is going to be 5 points for you, which
Oh,
means the
okay.
last one will be
Why?
worth 10 points.
Okay. Who plays Echo? Jeez, man.
It's on.
No,
Alex?
no, Alex doesn't play AP. What are you chatting about? This is Is this all playoffs?
No.
Can it be Sumi? Can I guess Sumi?
You can guess Sumi, but you're wrong. Initialize. Oh, wait. You're betting on who?
Fierce?
Fierce? It's actually Fierce. 10 points for you.
Is actually?
That's so not true! I got 4 of these right! Absolutely not!
Easy peasy, mate.
I just wanted to make it
You just
fun.
need to scale, bro. Play for late game.
I got production!
Fierce played it once, remember?
I actually
thought
don't
you-
remember. I just...
Production just announced it's Ashram's fault. Hey, don't worry, Initialize. I can give you a
100%
freebie on
win
this
rate.
one. 100% win rate for you, Foxtrot. You're gonna win another reroll on the next ARAM game you play.
I feel like I'm being ganged up on here, and I don't think this is fair or reasonable.
I got something for you, just for you, Initialize. Just for you. Let's show predictions.
Hey!
Because I want to check
I-
predictions. Oh, this is exciting.
We're pretty split here, aren't we? What's that?
Yeah.
4 and 5? Okay. 4
I
people
put out
think
my
Nord, 4
series
people
score
think
there, though.
Venomcrest.
I think clean sweep.
I think that's quite exciting,
Wait, what are you?
honestly.
Oh, a clean sweep from Venomcrest.
Yep.
Oh,
I've not put that many points in it, but I think so, yeah.
you know what? I want to talk about that. So let's toss the predictions because this is really exciting. And then let's go for the leaderboard of predictions. Look at that. Rudude's sitting in first place. Hipbrain somehow. He's there. I'm just sharing the third place with you and
I've ruined my
Fox.
score. I was coming into playoffs. I was literally 0 points. I was net neutral. It was
Thanos right there.
Not gonna lie, that is harder to do than winning the whole thing. It's to stay
you
on
would
0
be
points.
the
Just
king
saying.
in golf. Just letting
What
you
would I
know.
be? They call me the Swiss Lord, mate. My neutrality is just is. That's where I'm at.
It's there, you know. I don't know where, but it's there. Keep that in mind. But where are we? About to jump into the first game of Venomcrest versus Nod. And just as you looked, predictions are quite... It's a big battle. Like these two teams, Venomcrest and Nord, they look at the numbers. They're quite close. Ruddy should be there, but they are not. It's shared between Venomcrest and Nord. This is quite interesting. Don't you folks agree?
I do agree, and I think like the teams that are this far in the playoffs are our numbers 1, 2, and 3 teams basically in these stats, and that says quite a lot because generally speaking, our teams that have had the most successful early games have, on the whole, won. That's not always been true, but on the whole, that has been the case. I think that Nord's numbers will have been hit in playoffs because you'll note at the bottom there it says from the regular split, and I think Nord in particular did not look like Nord from the regular season in their first series.
Love it.
I
What's your
think
take,
it's
Fox?
like the fact that Venomcrest especially are like number 1 and number 2 in a lot of these stats is kind of surprising when you would expect Ruddy to be up here as well, right? Especially with how crazy Ruddy play. But to me, what kind of stands out, I guess, is I'm just going to call attention to the first blood statistics here, and the difference in styles. Where Nord, this would imply that Nord, have more of the aggressive early game. And to be honest, I would put that on Romeo's shoulders, right? Like whether he's getting first blood in the lane or whether he's roaming around and finding it somewhere else, which he always does. Take a look at his first recall, right? Keep your eyes on that because. Well, what should be his first recall isn't a recall. He goes to mid lane, right? He roams mid while his lane opponent's gone back to spawn to base. So a lot of people are thinking, timers and all this stuff and tempo, like he's off the map. He's not. He's lurking, he's hanging around, and then he often can find a way to get a cheeky little kill. So, yeah, and Venomcrest don't do that. Venomcrest, 50-50, balanced, perfectly balanced, all things should be. Perhaps like to play more of a scaling game, a lesson you could learn, initialize when it comes to these little mini games that Archer puts forward.
Oh, that
Just
was
saying.
personal. That was actually personal. Across the day,
It's
we'll
nothing
talk
personal,
about.
just from
I'm on the
from a
verge
winner
of
to
tears
a
right now.
non-winner. That's all.
I'm about to break down live on air, and it will be your fault.
I'll take you off air with showcasing the top laners. It's a way to put in a beautiful graph and allow you to dry the tears. I really want to talk.
Take a moment.
I want to talk about every single line, so we're gonna do it as we go through the day. Starting for the first game, we'd like to talk about the top lane and how they actually shared a lot of the champion pool. Because if you look into it, Nard and Renekton will be really disputed because they played twice, Renekton and Nard, through playoffs. So far, they've balanced themselves on those specific champions. So when you look into the champion pool and the gameplay, do you believe they're going to be sharing the same play style? The junglers need to go to top. What's your takeaway on this top lane?
I think both of these top laners are strong points for the squads.
Yeah.
I'd say for sure. But to be honest, like when you see Nara and Ekton, to me, that doesn't necessarily say like, oh, these are Nara and Ekton players. It says these guys don't get priority in draft. Because you pick those two champs when you're either on dog duty and you want to feel slightly better about it, right? So you get Nara or Renekton, or you're blind picking, or you're just safe picking, or whatever. Like you don't tend to play towards those champions, and it doesn't scream draft priority.
Initialize, this is for you, if possible.
Yeah.
If you look into the graph yet again, can we show it? Because this is your home, okay? If we toss it the graphic once again, if possible, production. If you look into both players, the name, well, we're jumping into Champion Select, but look at the name. Isn't it the same name when you twist it around?
It's
Nille,
quite similar.
Lenny?
Yeah, okay, there's I know where you're going. Like, I don't think
If
Nilla
you
is
switch
quite an
Nille,
anagram of
it's
Lenny.
Lenny.
Have you taken us out of Champ Select to talk about some weird anagram? This is like
It's quite important.
this is some serious. The Illuminati exists in the NLC kind of.
Initialize. It is the law. Let's toss it to Champion Select. If we are in Champion Select, I don't know. So if we are in
That
Champion
may have
Select,
been just a wrong button.
It might have been a wrong thing. That's true. Yeah.
So, okay. It was.
Okay,
it was,
good to
it was
know.
a joke. So now you can talk, Initialize.
Yes.
Oh,
We are in Champ Select, yeah.
There we go.
Nice. You will it into
we are the
existence.
smoothest production we'll talk. I pull my microphone cable out. We mute ourselves from Champ Select for this one. I do think Venom Crest getting rid of Yoka Zyra makes sense. He's very good at that champion. It's still very strong, even post a lot of those nerfs. I think from the side of Nord, getting rid of the Hui and the Ziggs for me are probably two of the better options. I'd also consider the Ivern, because I think Theocax has had a very good time on that champion, and that might be an opportunity. Some of Hunt's options like the Yone, and I imagine the Tristana, unless Fierce is having the first pick, it would be the bans for Venom Crest.
Maokai, I think, will have a high priority this series
point,
as well.
yeah.
Theo and Yoko both play a butt ton of Maokai, and they kind of just like default onto it a little bit as well. And it's a champion that can fit into a lot of different team comps. So, yeah, wouldn't be too surprised to see that one get in flying through as well. But aside from that, we've got quite a few good power picks still open so far here. See what these teams kind of favor. And this is what's really interesting about this drafting versus Venom Crest specifically is Lingard is very happy to pick AP champions, right? So you can easily slam down those AD mid laners, which this Ezreal, you know, it's a flex, but I think this is Fierce's Ezreal, right? I would be surprised to see that in botting.
I think specifically into the Tristana too, we've seen the Ezreal, particularly early on, be able to get quite a number of solo kills across multiple people playing the matchup, at least at NLC level. So I feel like that might be saying, look, we know Hunt's good at Tristana, but we feel this can punish it. They've locked in the Maokai for Yoka. I think that's already a solid combo, but the response of the Sejuani, I don't think Venom Crest are too sad about that necessarily on paper for all Yoka has put a lot of time into it. Simpi's Rakan should also be no surprise. He has put a lot of time, had a lot of success on that champion. Can also match whatever Romeo wants to, particularly considering he does like to go towards things like the Rel. So that might make some sense here as well.
Now, we talked about the top laners. Archer had that very beautiful graphic popping up for us. How is that going to show into this first round of draft? Because, you know, I was suggesting that, you know, it implies you don't really draft towards the top lane, and so far obviously there have been 0 top lane impacts aside from that Rumble ban, which I guess kind of goes, you know, also could be Yoka's thing too, but at this point, do you actually take away something like the Cassante? Because I feel like Cassante is a champion for Venom Crest here that you could pick in this 4th spot, right? You can blind pick it, and it does pretty well into the options that Nord have available for it too, right? So to particularly to pick into it. And Lene loves Cassante. He is like the Cassante guy, right? Hasn't got the opportunity to play it too much recently, but I do think that it could be a solid choice here in that fourth pick. But instead, so far we've got that AP bot laner away from Lingard, which he's almost guaranteed to want to play an AP bot at this point, right? Like the only other option I'd say is maybe like a Zeri instead. But yeah, we'll see what we divulge into here as this draft continues.
Yeah, I think also for Nord, for all they've drafted double AD carry, we know that Kai'Sa, particularly when she is part of those double AD carry comps, flexes towards more AP as the builds go on and some of those armor values get built up. So I think Nord are very happy with that. Also, the Maokai sets up really well for the Kai'Sa to jump in, the Tristana to jump in as well. So Nord really happy on that front. They get a Leona too. Their combo is already very obvious, guys. Whoever gets hit with that first bit of CC will have multiple AB carries jumping on their head. For Venom Crest, it's a bit more single target. See what they do want to lock in here. They got rid of the Ashe, which would have paired up quite well with a single target CC. There is still a world where that Ezreal ends up bot lane for Lindgard, for all he has often prioritized those AP options. Gragas for Lenny might be an interesting call. It would give them some AP. So that might not just be the Hobbit. Yeah, okay, locks it in. He did play a fair amount of that back in the day. Well, actually, it's more Bucci's pick, this split, interestingly. But I can still see the concept. And potentially as well, if you are having people like the Kai'Sa diving at you, that's a way to potentially keep things safe.
Wow.
The Jace mid for Fierce, who had a really, really good third game on that versus Ruddy, will flex the Ezreal bot lane. So Lingard on a traditional ADC, it's double poke, lots of pick. The Grag is to try and add that AP and try and deal with some of the dive. Malphite would be fun, but I don't necessarily expect it here for Nile.
No. We discussed about it. Locked in.
It was going to be K9 adjacent either way. Won it for Nile here on that last pick. Yeah, at least with Nari he can pretend, you know. I'm not dumb. I'm trying to stem the barks there.
Is it you doing another Nasus impression? Because you were doing the Nasus cue last time, right?
Yeah, but that's
yeah, no, that's cool.
At the end of the day, when we look at these compositions and removing the name tags, who do you think is gonna take this one, Venom Crest or Nord?
Ooh, I'll start off and say I quite like Nord's composition. Actually, I think it's got a pretty clear just, you know, doof, bundle, go, let's go, you know, and a lot of even the carries can follow up on that. So I think it's pretty easy to execute Nord's comp. You've got multiple threats, you've got good engage, you've got tanks frontline, that kind of thing. So I quite like what Nord's put together. Yeah.
I think I agree with Foxy there on the whole. I think it's an easier comp to play. That said, I still think Venom Crest will be fine with their draft. It's very playable. It's not like it doesn't make sense. It'll work into the enemy comp, but it's a lot more single target. And if you do get to the point where you get to play poke, where the Jason, the Ezreal are chunking everybody in front of them for loads of their HP and you're playing those extended fights out, you're still going to have a pretty good time here. I just arguably think that Nord's comp is that little bit easier to execute from a few different game states and positions on the map.
Keep that in mind. And Venom Crest did a surprise on Ruddy the last time they fought. Can they surprise Nord yet again? Or will Nord take them down to start off this best of 5? But to start it off, let's toss it to the casters. Rudud is waiting, and also the tiny bear cut.
Tiny bear cut.
I mean, look how much smaller you are than me.
Oh yeah, I mean my entire face is composed of around about 5 pixels right now. Hopefully this camera issue gets sorted out, but Rudud, big game for both of these organisations. A lot of stakes for whoever's the victor here.
Big series for both of these teams, right? This isn't just a spot in the final of NLC. This is a spot in into the main stage of EMEA Masters, right? You don't have to fight out in the gauntlet that is LCQ of EMEA Masters, which is starting this week, by the way.
Literally tomorrow.
So lose here, get ready for another set of games tomorrow, or win, and you have to prepare for a best of 5 versus Ruddy. So either way, the stakes are fairly high, and you know your next set of games are going to be really difficult regardless. But definitely, I know which end of the bargain I'd rather take.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, purely from a scheduling purpose, it feels easier to be playing a game on Saturday than one in the next couple of days. Although having to go up against Ruddy will be no tall task for either of these teams. Composition's fairly standard. I'm thinking nothing completely crazy being thrown out there just yet.
Yeah, I think when we get into game, it's a little easier to visualize for people. I want to try and dive into the Venom Crest composition a little bit more because there are some nuances to it that I'd really like to try and explore, but the Desk did a great job of highlighting how simple Nord's composition is going to be, right? We've got Yoka on the Maokai, we'll be able to just press R, engage a fight pretty much when he pleases, and then there's decent follow-up as well, relatively easy with the Leona as well to try and find those picks. And they've got enough damage in both sides' back pocket to make a bit of a statement and make themselves feel comfortable in these team fights later on.
Yeah, and we'll see if Nord are able to find that comfort or if Venom Crest are able to upset the apple cart and get an early advantage in this series as we head into Game 1. Alrighty, here we go, everybody, onto Summoner's Rift for the first of potentially 5 times today. Venom Crest facing off against Nord. On the line, a spot in the NLC final, a spot in the main event of EMEA Masters. A lot to play for.
So much, and I think that whilst we've got the time in the early stages of this game, going to talk about one of the picks to watch for this game specifically, but more so this series as well. It's Hunt's Tristana. You said to me just off air, it's one of these picks that they go back to from time to time. I would argue it's one of those picks that they will always pick if it's open, more so than anything else, and that got proven in this draft right here. We saw Venom Crest not ban it out. They had the choice to take it B1 if they wanted. They opted against it. So they have this plan in place, Venom Crest. They know that the Tristana's going to get taken. They have to know. And now we get to see whether or not it becomes that crucial pick in the series or not.
And it is a strange gauntlet to sort of throw down in that way because DMG, I think, rightly recognised the power that Hunt's Tristana had, banned it every single game in their matchup against Norton. Obviously, there's a lot that goes into how well a League of Legends team plays, but Nord definitely weren't playing as sharp as they have been over the course of the split in that BO5.
No, it was a worse series from them than we'd seen in the regular season, and the fact that they took that series at all, honestly, was a little bit of a surprise with the way that they were playing. In game number 5, they were down 6,500 gold at 24 minutes into the game, had no right, really, to find the win, but it was Hunt on an Akali performance that managed to pick up the win. So we'll see how Hunt's development through the split and through a series, and particularly with his champion with this Tristana, ends up growing. Looking more so at that Venom Crest composition though, do want to take a look at how they're going to be able to navigate those team fights. But on the bot side of the map, Theocax is making a bit of a move into the jungle.
Yeah, a little bit of a cheeky invade against Yoka with the push that Simpy and Lingard have secured on the bottom side. He is able to do this for the time being, although he does need to take care that Hunt doesn't end up rotating over. We've got an engage coming out from Venom Crest though.
Ignite.
The Ignite burning onto Yoka. Theocax also set on fire and removed from the rift as it's a 1-for-1 on the bottom side.
Jungler for support, so a big win in my eyes. This one goes the way of Nord. They're able to find themselves... Oh, wait. Never mind. Yes, the jungler died. I am lying on the internet for no reason, middle court. Enemy AD carry gets a kill, Venom Crest. Ezreal goes back to base, picks up Tia Cole. He's ready for the late game.
I mean, absolutely. It's not a power spike at the moment as Hunt with that reset. Happy to go forward once more onto Fizz. It's not a spike in terms of power now for the Ezreal massively. This is just going to get him towards that 2-3 item point that much sooner.
Yeah, exactly. And again, with that Ezreal hitting that mid-game spike, hopefully that little bit sooner, as we see Simpy holding the wave.
Ooh, Romeo's going to come onto the tower though! Oh my word, flash forward from Lingard. One more auto would have done the job, but it's not going to come through. Theocax appearing on the bottom side, but his opposite number is there as well. Very low HP bars in the bottom lane, but no more deaths added to the tally.
Both junglers are just begging to clear their bot camps right now. Yoka's still not taking his blue buff yet. He's had to beeline it back straight down to bot lane pretty much as soon as he's respawned. Or got back out from the base, excuse me. He's now Fierce the one getting jumped on.
Oh, he does need to be careful. Attacked by Hunt, flashes forward onto the Tristana and takes her out in the 1v2. Yoka will slow with the Bramble Smash, but there's nothing more to offer.
A 1 versus 2 turnaround. Hunt's Tristana gets taken out. Well played skirmish from Fierce there. Left stranded in the mid lane. Managed to find the best of what was looking like a relatively bad situation. Has to burn his flash, but he's going to be more than happy to do that to find the first kill. We'll be able to collect the majority of this wave as well. He's already walking past his tier 2 turret, so maybe 1 or 2 melee minions lost, but that is going to be it.
And we said that Venom Crest needed to have a plan to deal with the Hunt Tristana. Definitely say not dealt with quite yet, but if you're able to 1v2 him on the Jace, that seems quite reasonable.
Mid-diff sounds like a good plan. I think is the best way that I would try and describe this right now as he comes well out of it.
Yeah, he's still so clean though on the timings of those rocket jumps. Always managing to buffer and escape from the CC, but Fierce emboldened by the 1v2 kill to maybe go for something a little bit more spicy. Simpy around here as well, but again, we had junglers matching each other in the bottom lane just now, supports now matching in the mid.
Yeah, important that both of the kills for Venom Crest so far are on both of their leading carries, the Jace and the Ezreal, those 2 items, spike champs that we're looking for when those mirror manas come online to be those big threats. As Ecstasy now walks into Simpy.
Huracan
Just walks out. Cool. Nice and chill. This is level 1 blue buff, by the way.
Yeah, and it still hasn't been taken by either jungler.
No. Why would it, honestly? Blue buffs are relatively overrated. We'll take a Drake instead.
Yeah, now that does sound like a bit of a better objective. And I mean, that's going to give you HP regen.
That's true.
Blue buff can't help you out in that department.
Unless you're a jungler, and then hitting it does. You know, jungle privilege and all that.
Nord might be hitting Venom Crest though, as Romeo has gone pretty deep to get on top of Theocax. Hunt jumping into the fight as well, but beautifully knocks back Fierce. Skewer Ecstasy the first kill of the engagement, and Romeo looks like he's just about able to survive. Nord with a well-executed heist in the bottom lane, 2 kills, and the Ocean Drake.
Yeah, Hunt's Buster shot there, genuinely MVP value from that, meant that Fierce couldn't get in range of that fight, wasn't able to participate, and the damage that he would have been putting out in Hammerfall was sorely lacking from Venom Crest. The Drake 2 kills, Nord packed back on that bot side.
It's given them a slight gold advantage, obviously still everything to play for. Lenny actually going for a little bit of a combo onto Nilla. Theocax is in the area, but the Narc getting just enough movement speed to get on out of there.
And whilst we've got the time in the quieter portion, you know, Rift Herald not up, rather the grubs to be taken expectedly by Venom Crest as they've moved Simpy up. Want to highlight Nilla from his performance last series. We talked about Nord not having the showcase series that we were expecting them to, that series was a lot closer than anticipated. For me, Nilla was the exception to that rule. He was a solid staple for Nord in that top lane, and he had to be because Bucci was coming in to the DMG Nord series as one of the most highly sought after prospects to be a DMG carry. It ended up coming from other players on the DMG roster, largely because Nilla was such a wall on that top side and played exceptionally in all 5 games.
I mean, this is just what Nilla does, right? He sort of sneaks his way through the regular split, sometimes going under-noticed, underappreciated, but as a guy with so much experience, he knows how to show up when it matters most. Control thrown down there by Nord, maybe teasing us with the potential of a gank towards the bottom side as Simpy and Lingard without vision.
Okay, 10 times down on the bot side. Clearing a ward.
Oh, Yoka's actually around the mid lane and might be going for Fierce here. Theocax trying a match, but he's not going to get there in time. Bounces back the enemy mid laner and feeds a kill over to Hunt.
No 1 versus 2 this time. The damage from Hunt, his high HP to begin with, was where it needed to be. Managed to find that 2 versus 1 and another kill now going to Nord's back pocket. Want to talk about the sort of opposition that Nilla's up against for this game, specifically in Lenny, because he's got a really tall task this game. And I actually think that the Venom Crest composition lives and dies by how well Lenny plays and how well those casks interact. Venom Crest have got a lot of damage on one specific target. The way that their fighting should be focused is by knocking somebody closer to them with the cask, using that to buy space from Ecstasy, from Hunt. When they're at a range that they can't deal damage, you're trying to one-shot to burst somebody else and then be able to take a fight afterwards.
Not quite got the angle on the cask just yet, but give him a couple tries and I'm sure that Lenny will get his eye in eventually.
Already the Sheen picked up Lingard farming very nicely with this cull. Almost got it finished up already. These couple of plates down on that bot side going to be adding to the Ezreal's gold tally and getting him to that Mirror Mana, that Trinity Force that little bit sooner. I am a fan of how Ezreal builds have seemingly come full circle in the last, like, I don't know, 10 years, something like that. It always used to be Tier and Trinity Force, and then we found Blade of the Ruin King.
It was like serrated dirt.
Yeah, there was all manner of items that Ezreals were building. There was even a time where I wouldn't build Tier on Ezreal, just because. And now we're back, all right? It's a comfort zone once again for him.
It feels good to be back. It is nice to see, particularly a champion like Ezreal who's been around for so long, still relevant just because of the raw skill expression that the champion enables. Lingard hardly a slouch on him, so I am very excited to see what he does once he gets to that accelerated point on the Ezreal. Simply, Lingard needs to be careful there as the engage is coming out, but wonderfully interrupted by the Rakan. Stun coming down, interrupted on the grand exit, will burn down to the Ignite. Fierce looking to pick up the pieces and knock down the house that Nord have built in the bottom lane. And the shots coming through from maximum range are enough to chop down the tree.
Yeah, Yoka still has flash. He wasn't expecting that burst to come down, but a Sheen Mystic shot, accelerated shock blast, took him from a large amount of health to 0 in a single frame. Yes, there's going to be a plate lost in the mid lane, but Hunt not able to respond, didn't want to use the teleport, instead playing more for himself, more for that late game on the Tristana.
But still though, if we turn our attention towards the top lane, Nille is starting to build up more and more of a lead over Lenny. It was subtle at first, only 5-10 CS, is now nearest damn it 3 waves up on his opponent, and in terms of side laning threats, the Nari's only going to be getting better.
It looks like he's going to be getting a little bit of help right here also. Yoka, Hunt and Romeo all pathed into that top side. It's more so to set up vision for the impending grubs. Obviously, Venomcrest took the first 3 as Hunt jumps into Fierce. Has a reset.
Oh, and he's going to use it as well, but Theocax jumps directly into him. Here comes Ecstasy! Nord collapse on their victims instantaneously. And get one more.
And now their attentions turn to the neutrals. Take down that Cloud Drake. You've got a lot of time before Fierce actually gets back onto the map. The opportunity to try and take both. Ripe for the picking for Nord here. The Cloud is just taken. The idea of them moving up to that top side while we've got Nilla. Has Prio top side, Hunt Prio in the mid lane. Try and get them all.
Oh, Lingard flashes. Get out of that sticky situation as Romeo is now going to take a little bit of damage in return. Yoka is here as well, but so is Simpy. Flashes to block the roots, gets a shield, gets a heal for Theocax, and also gets Hunt's TP as he makes his way down to the bot lane a little too late.
Yeah, not quite the same impact that we saw from Fierce. And that's a resource that Nord will have wished had better output from it, but they're still up in gold. They're still controlling how this game gets played. Moving down to that bot side, forcing out summoner spells. Ezreal with no flash, not as detrimental as other AD carries without it, but it definitely feels good to have taken the enemy marksman's flash out.
Yeah, Nord as it stands doing everything pretty decently. That 1,000 gold lead hasn't grown by any particular margin, and they do need to be a little bit careful as this bot lane tower is taking a load of damage, and first blood gold over to Lingard is not something that I want to be seeing if I'm a Nord fan.
No, I think he just steps up, takes it. Wonderful. Up 1.1k over the Kai'Sa. Now, this is one of the slight drawbacks of Ezreal. Yes, he's up in gold that he has accumulated, but in terms of stats that he's got in his inventory, a bit of a garage sale with the tier 2 boots, the cull, the tier as well. Not quite completed that first item where you can see Ecstasy. Flat, straight into a static shiv. Has those tier 2 boots as well, and is performing very well in those little skirmishes. Now, of course, he gets to go back to base and completely disregard anything that I was saying, but they're only on parity at this point, the 2 marksmen.
I mean, it's the horrible thing. You've still got to wait for that tier to tick up slowly, which is why you don't rush directly into the Mana Moon, because you end up with a load of gold spent on stats. They don't give you that much, but it does mean these early leads don't necessarily translate. And Nord, first up to an objective again. They've already got 2 dragons, and they're looking to get another big old lizard on their team. Theocax with engagement, finding Yoka and blowing him up in an instant. Teleport comes out from Nilla. He's only in the melee form, not able to provide too much CC, but Ecstasy will look to provide damage. They're able to take down Theocax, and it's another play where Nord come out just barely on top.
Yeah, you get to see the single target damage that Venom Crest have got, but then you get to see the team fighting that Nord have as well. Managing to pick off the Maokai very early on in that fight, but not quite having enough left in the tank for the rest of the fight afterwards. Nobody takes down the Rift Herald, but Nord come away the beneficiaries of 2 kills as opposed to Venom Crest's 1.
A little bit of a looking at the mid lane as they are retaining pressure around this objective, and given the positioning of Fierce on the bottom side, Theocax making his way to his own red buff. It does look like Venom Crest are happy to give this one up for a little bit of push and a little bit of time elsewhere.
Yeah, so only 3 grubs taken at all this game, so that is going to be a little bit of a boost to Venom Crest when we see Fierce likely in the side lane. Lenny, if he's ever able to get push versus this Gnar, it's probably not going to be the case, so the power of those grubs largely going to be unaffected, and in that instance, Nord more than happy that they're able to take 2 Drakes earlier on. If nothing else, they buy themselves 10 minutes of time where they're able to give a dragon, try and fight for something on that top side, start taking 2 tier 2 turrets, start making plays for more gold on the map.
Yeah, and I think that's why for Venom Crest it's very important that they were actually able to take that bottom lane tier 1 tower when they did. Because Nord's ability to exert pressure and exert themselves onto the map around the bottom side, it is somewhat neutered by the fact that they just don't have this sort of free safe haven in the bottom of Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, definitely going to take its own toll. As we move into the 16-minute marker, Nord just a little bit ahead with 1,500 gold. It's minute advantages across the board. Obviously, we've highlighted the fact that Lingard is a little bit further ahead of Ecstasy than you might like, but everywhere else on the map, just slight advantages to the team on the red side, which, when we come to these 5 versus 5s, unless we're seeing big item breakpoints be that disparity, and we'll keep our eyes out for that a little bit later on, expectations are our teams is going to be relatively similar.
I like this adaptation on here. You see the tabbies a lot. Done. When you want to be playing aggressive, playing for a lot of these 1v1s against the AD threats, and really looking at Venom Crest composition, as long as you're not getting bombarded by Lenny, you're kind of just free to do whatever you want.
Yep, so, you know, that's why I mentioned a little bit earlier, right? There's pressure on Lenny this game, because if he can find access to Ecstasy to hunt, he's playing this full AP Gragas, he's going to be one-shotting people. Going to be one-shotting those squishies especially. As you see the Celestial opportunity taken away from Simpy. Short cooldown though, so we'll have that back. Drake just now spawned. It is an Infernal, so a high roll for Nord if they can find mid-prio and move in.
It's Venom Crest who seem for the time being to possess that priority. Lingard has got 360 stacks on his tier, but no mirror mana for the upcoming fights.
The other part of Venom Crest's composition is their poke. Jace plus Ezreal plus the zoning control of just 1 Q from Gragas.
Oh, here comes Nord looking for the engagement. On the backline goes Simpy, and Ecstasy goes bye-bye. Venom Crest bait in Nord and kill them in the pit. They get dragoned and 3 enemy corpses.
A wonderful engage from Simpy as he just destroys the Nord backline. Hunt's able to survive, but he's not able to do any damage. Venom Crest, with a wonderful fight around the dragon, are going to claim their prize of the mid-tier 1 turret.
And the fact is, that was a fight taken whilst they were at these item deficits, when they hadn't quite hit these breakpoints. We're going to have Fierce, we're going to have Lingard returning onto the map with upgraded mirror manas, and that poke that we were discussing before that fight broke out will be even more disgusting from that point.
Nord leave the dragon with a firm advantage now, as they're able to regroup on Summoner's Rift, wait for that recall from Fierce. See what he's able to pick up. Probably just biding his time, getting the last few dregs of gold that he needs for that mirror mana before he resets. But the fact that he's not taken a base just yet does mean that Venom Crest are a little bit disjointed in how they want to be playing out on the map. You can see Lingard quite wisely stepping forward to tank the wave, because their tier 1 turret is a very, honestly, not even a stiff breeze from going down. Looks like Nord piling in toward the bot side instead.
Yeah, I think this is something that I've noticed, particularly from Venom Crest, is that they are willing to accept and acquiesce to pressure when the enemy team applies it. You saw Fierce taking a step back there, recognizing that he was weak side momentarily, and allowing Nord to make the play to get the tower, but not giving them anything else with it.
Now play for this tier 1 turret on the top side. The entirety of Venom Crest are
Oh
here.
my word. Nillet, are you having fun, mate? Are you enjoying League of Legends right now? I'm pretty sure the answer's no.
Alright, well, just as you were saying, Fierce is doing a great job at conceding gracefully, let's say. Makes his way up to the top side with teleport and takes down Lenny and means that he's going to go down. Decidedly not so.
No. Unfortunately, 4 people are trying to kill you. You just lose in that scenario. Nord were able to get the mid tower, though, so they've sort of traded a little bit in terms of the turret game, but it's still Venom Crest who are in the lead.
2 items hit for both of our marksmen. That next fight most likely to be around the dragon. 2.5 minutes left until that spawns. And again, Nord with those couple early dragons not necessarily going to need to try and take the fight around them. Obviously, if they can get the soul, they would be more than happy. And it's at this point in the game where Hunt's Tristana is usually taking over, but this game specifically, with the way he's built out his items, was actually in a little bit of a lull, a little bit of a slump. He'd spent 900 gold on this Vamp Scepter, which sometimes can just build into a Blade of the Ruin King. Instead, opted into the Kraken, into this Navori, but that 900 gold, sorely lacking, was waiting for it to be invested into that second item. Now has those Flicker Blades, so doesn't feel as bad, as much in the hole as you might have expected from a mid-game lull. But moving around on this top side, it's Venom Crest setting up their eyes toward the Baron, though starting it just without picks, going to be a little bit more tricky.
Yeah, Nile does have the teleport on the bottom side. Should Nord require him to join in and provide some assistance, Lenny. Also with that summoner spell, and so there's a little bit of a game that ends up being played by these top laners where you kind of don't want to show because you don't want your TP to be interrupted if you need to TP and the other guy's going to TP instead of you TPing.
I agree, TP. Now, Lenny as well will have a little bit of an easier time, obviously, with the interruption, just because he can use either Body Slam or his Cask to make that happen. Nilla relies very heavily on being in the Meganor form to be able to prevent that from happening. But, as you mentioned, the fact that they can just push in and move up is now going to help a little bit more Nord favoured as Nilla shows his face, walks up from the bot lane. But to no avail. Lingard obviously on this Ezreal going to be very, very safe, and I want to quickly give Lingard a little bit of props as well. Last series, up against Ruddy was largely put on, you know, mage duty, right? 2 games of Ziggs, 1 game of Hwei. Did end up having a Zeri performance, but wasn't quite able to show off what I think Lingard brings to the table. He's definitely known as one of our mage players down on that bot side, but sometimes takes away from the fact that he's actually a phenomenal marksman player as well.
Yeah, I very much feel like it's... Okay, you've got this great AD carry called Lingard who can play really safe, CS really well, top DPS in team fights, and then, like, limited time offer now comes with mages as well. I feel like that's the framing. I think we've got a few bot laners in the NLC that are maybe a bit more mage players than they are regular ADCs. Lingard is just all about the ADC. And Nord returning the favour that Venom Crest gave to Nilla a couple of minutes ago, sending 5 members to take out the enemy top lane. Although this does leave them in a bit of a weird position. Mid lane tower at risk, but I'm not sure they're going to care if they get a Baron for it.
Remember, the poke from an Ezreal, the poke from a Jace at this stage is going to be lethal. True Shot Barrage starts it all off.
Baron going down to around about 5k. Nilla getting out of the pit. Simper going into the pit. Nord are going to get taken incredibly low here. They don't have the HP bars to win this fight, as Lingard is only concerned with taking them away. 3 kills for the Ezreal. A Baron for Venom Crest. That wasn't worth it, Nord.
I think not, Middle Court. A wonderful scrap for Venom Crest. The Vipers come alive around the Baron pit. Yes, they lose Lenny, but Lingard pops off. Finds himself a triple kill, synergizes with Fierce. That poke that we talked about was overwhelming for Nord. Yoka at this stage has 0 armor. He can't stand and tank that poke. He can't stand and tank the Baron, let alone the 2.5, 3 item marksman AD carries that Venom Crest are pelting him with.
And Venom Crest will return to the map and claim their second Infernal of the game. Nord going to be exceedingly grateful they were able to pick up those early couple. As an Infernal Soul against a poke composition is disgusting.
Notoriously lethal. As far as Drakes go, definitely a top 2-1 that you don't want to end up seeing in a poke composition's hands. Tier 2 turret's going to be the rite of passage for Venomcrest with the Baron. The goal to break open the base, you would like to think. And now with Hunt on that top side, still splitting, still trying to take a tier 2. This tier 3 down on that bot side, definitely up for grabs.
Yeah, I mean, like, Nord, it's so difficult for them to even step up and clear the minions. Hunt is going to be cutting through these towers, but Nord need to be very careful they don't just lose the entire damn game here! A lot of CC, a lot of damage. Theocac staying alive. Inhibitor going to be claimed, and now it's about the retreat, the reset. Can Venomcrest get out in time to defend their inhibitor as they return to base? The answer is yes. So a trade for Nord, not the worst thing that they could have opted in for, but still winning for Venomcrest.
And if this is the only thing that Nord get or that Venomcrest get from their Baron, then it's okay for Nord. Because theoretically, Venomcrest could have taken a 5 versus 5 down on that bot side and ended the game with Baron. On the scale of things that could have happened, Nord will be okay with this trade. They were likely going to have their base broken open anyway if they held 5 versus 5. They opt into just accepting that they're going to lose an inhibitor and try and find gold elsewhere. Venomcrest, though, worth mentioning, eyes on the prize. They know exactly what the objective is. They go in, they siege, they dive underneath the turrets, they use all of their health bars perfectly. Theo jumps under the turret, tanks up the turret, tanks up all of Nord, and still survives. It's exactly what you need to be doing on a frontliner. Bought the space for his team to take down those objectives.
But it's measured as well. He's not throwing himself into the fray going, I've got 4,000 HP and you need to get through all of it before you get to my team. No, it's about buying that space, creating that space, allowing your team to do stuff like this. And Nord, well, the only structures they have remaining reside within their base, and even then, some of them have already fallen away. The Baron will fall away from Venomcrest, and that'll provide a momentary reprieve for Nord, but the gold, which was so close for so long this game, is now pretty firmly in favour of Venomcrest.
Yeah, all but 5,000 gold. Now, with the inhibitor down on that bot side, that is going to be an element of missing gold that Venomcrest won't now be collecting. Obviously, the super minion is going to be killing those. That's experience, that's gold that's going missing from the team on the blue side. Nord expected to be able to collect those super minions and try and recuperate a bit of lost gold, lost experience there, but the untold amount of map pressure that that's going to give Venomcrest is usually more than worthwhile. If they can be productive, if they can be proactive with this time, they may well be able to find themselves probably just a second Baron, probably an Infernal Soul point to start themselves off.
I mean, that's the thing, right? That's kind of why you take these inhibitors. Like, obviously, if they're left alone, they will just end the game for you, the inhibitor super minion waves, but they make it so much easier for you to approach these objectives like the Baron, like the Dragon as well. That inhibitor death timer is going to be syncing up with the spawn on the Baron, so Nord will have to answer that the next time that Baron Nashor hits Summoner's Rift. Venomcrest, though, grouping as 5 towards the top side, looking to pick off Nilla, looking to pick off Romeo, looking to pick off anyone on Nord who oversteps!
Maokai ulti as well, Ecstasy chunked.
Oh, but here comes the Solar Flare. They're knocking the Leona back into the team, and she melts like butter! Nilla crunching his way on out of there as it's a double kill for the Venomcrest squad. And they're looking for even more in Nord's base.
And Lingard just hops in, takes down Ecstasy. Some wonderful poke to begin with. A Mystic Shot before the fight begins. A True Shot barrage layered over the top. Venomcrest, they've broken open 2 inhibitors, looking for a third.
Yeah, and Lingard's just arcade shifting forward. Yoka gonna be pulled back. And Venomcrest will knock him down. An inhib on the top side, but the Nexus towers are going to be the focus. A little bit of a party cast drop by Lenny. As the partying can't start just yet for Venomcrest, there's still a hell of a lot of League of Legends that you guys are going to have to play this evening. But Venomcrest starts off with a W.
Striking first in our best of 5, Venomcrest continue their dominance through the NLC, that form that they found at the end of the regular split finally coming back off the back of a rough series versus Ruddy. They played phenomenally in it, didn't find the win. They find their first victory of a BO5 right here.
Yeah, and their third victory this split against Nord. For some reason, Venomcrest just seems to be anathema to what Nord wants to do. But, I mean, Nord, they were keeping it close there, but eventually just got to a point where Venomcrest were able to pull away.
And honestly, came from the Baron. A little bit of a botched call for me from Nord. They're playing up against this poke composition. Yes, they found a great pick onto Nilla on that top side, but, or rather, not onto Lina, onto Lenny on that top side. But besides that, they then get that pick, go to the Baron, end up really throwing the game entirely, and from then on, Venomcrest didn't look back.
Yeah, I think that's the impressive thing, is that it wasn't just that Venomcrest got this lead, it was the fact that they got this lead and the game just felt so easy after that point. It didn't feel like there was any worry. They executed on their game plan pretty much perfectly from that point.
Yeah, once they had the tools, they ran with them, right? They were more than ready to close that game out. They found the Baron, found just clean macro end game calls. Just, okay, let's take an inhib. Now we'll move to the other side of the map. Let's make sure that we've got super minions doing their job of super minions. And honestly, other than, you know, getting the initial mid push, they never really made mid lane their focus.
Yeah, and Hunts Tristana goes down in game one. We're going to jump to a short break before the Analyst Desk break down game one and get us ready for the rest of the series.
At SteelSeries, we make the headsets, mice and keyboards that the world's best gamers win the most with. And we've been doing it since way back. It's up to you how far you go, but whatever you do, go for glory.
Tell me something, Ansel. I want to know, in your vision, where do you believe Venomcrest is ahead of Nord into tomorrow's best of 5?
Well, again, without going too much, I have to say that there is a really strong man from Sweden. He plays a lot of APCs, ADCs, and I know that tomorrow we have some of the best AD carries in the league to facing each other, and I'm really looking forward to watching the bot play and how it plays out.
That is
I
interesting.
just don't want to say, like, in other leagues, I'm not gonna mention names, 8 ADCs banned and still a lot of ADCs picked.
Because usually we get like a lot of that, and somehow Ezreal and Quirky and Tristana are being left open for the mid lane.
Yes.
Memento, this is a good idea. The idea that Venomcrest can adapt with an AP bot laner, and so far on Nord, we haven't seen them much. Is there like a trick up your sleeve that you don't need to talk about it, but you have like a trick up your sleeve that can compensate for that if the champion select actually asks for it?
Well, actually, we've been practicing something very specific for this series.
Oh, for this series.
Unfortunately, I cannot go into detail, obviously.
No.
But I think it will be a banger. And I'm hoping that they will pick what we expect them to pick.
Oh, okay. So there's a trap. I would say welcome back to NLC, but I have to say welcome back to the Lingard show with the Ezreal just skyrocketing on those talks of the Ezreal first pick. How should we start this? Because I wanted to start the conversation by, hey, Nord did really well at the beginning of the game.
Yeah, it was a really competitive early game that Nord started to get some leads with. They had certainly had a few more kills, but it was only ever a 1,000 or so. And actually, we were actually seeing some back and forth moments. And we did kind of see this period where like the first Dragon went a bit wrong for Venom Crest, and they had to play a little bit slower. And Hunt started to get a little bit scary on the Tristana, but you still saw a lot of gold going into Venom Crest. We still saw Fierce doing just fine, and bluntly, Lingard hit this point, especially after some unusual objective fights from Nord, where the Ezreal got free time to absolutely pop off, and Lingard, a player who we have often criticized, I think, on, ironically, AD carry champions, considering he's an AD carry player nominally and not off the AP carries. I think his license just got reinstated, because that was an absolutely killer Ezreal game. It was first pick Ezreal too. Yes, it was a potential flex, as we were kind of talking about, but still, to have that first pick champion go into your hands and then to deliver in the way that he did, 10-0-6, no scenes like Fnatic versus G2 to be found, flawless stuff.
Yeah, it was quality from Lingard. Honestly, he's my MVP for that game for sure. He did some great stuff. The fact that, you know, you can first pick an ADC and flex it effectively for Venom Crest is a huge boon, because when that Ez was picked, I was like, yeah, that's Fierce, that's mid lane. Lingard won't play that. You know, it's going mid. But I was wrong, and Lingard did really well on it. And just to really hammer in the point you were saying for what went wrong for Nord during that game, because they did have a good early start. Really, for me, it all started unraveling at that dragon fight, right? That was when it all started going wrong, because they were in a decent spot up until that point. They had control of the map. The tempo was in their favor, and then they just let the ball slip a little bit. And Venom Crest got the first move into Dragon. They even started up the Dragon and they got it. But that's pretty inconsequential for what it meant for the game. It was the fact that, you know, you've given up position over an objective, and then you lose the team fight, when at that point in the game, you should have control of the game if you're Nord, right? You look at the items, Jace, Ezreal, both still stacking up their tiers, right? They're not at their spikes right now. And on your side, you know, you've got Nars on his Triforce, Maokai's got his Liandry's, which, you know, when he first gets Liandry's, and before the game gets a bit later on where he becomes paper thin because he's got an AP item, right? He's still actually quite tanky with that Liandry's, with the 300 health it gives. Like, you had, you know, it was still your game at that point, but they pissed it away. And they lost the Dragon. They lost 3 kills. And from that point, big credit to Venom Crest, because, you know, saw the opportunity, took it, ran with it, and then it was all Venom Crest from that point out.
I think Medocott stated, like, the game was really smooth, and at least in my opinion, the end defense coming in from Nord, the adaptation as soon as they got that lead and the man was over, it looked like they were buttered in summer. So that was a complicated way to build up a defense. So when we look into the second champion select, because there's a side switch, Nord is on blue, Venom Crest is on red, by the way, for game 2. We heard from Memento, hey, we got something spicy just for this matchup, just for Venom Crest. Are you worried about Lingard? Nah, don't even sweat it. They need to sweat.
I mean, Lingard's sweating, isn't he? Bloody hell.
Yeah,
Try-harding his way through the Ezreal pick.
I mean, if there's any time of the season to start try-harding, now is probably a good time for it, frankly. And, you know, for me, Lingard has been one of the the standout from our bot lane position. I won't say ADC because he's not been that. He's got that flexibility that's been really valuable to them. And now that he is also showing, things like that, Ezreal have to be a concern. That's a lot of scary things to deal with, because I do think actually Venom Crest played out that mid game very well. They got onto towers quite well. They managed to keep the gold from ballooning against them. They did contest that third dragon very well, and eventually hit this point where Ezreal Jace into that comp was always going to stay, because it was going to take them a while to build up armor in any reasonable point of view. So the poke was going to land really, really well, and unfortunately for them, they never really managed to threaten Lingard outside of some look-ins early, and I wouldn't mind them trying to run it back, but they do need to play out those mid games better, and they need to be very, very careful about how they sit in those objective areas, because they tried to play a 4v5 around the Baron, remember, and it went very, very wrong, because Jason Ezreal got to walk to the other side of the Baron pit against the runner play, because again, they were blue side, and just start throwing empowered shot blasts and Q's in, and Rakan flash R's to get the quickness across everybody, and they all start melting away. And that's a very scary point to be in, I think, as well. And this is now 2 series in a row where Nord have been less than elegant in key parts of the game. And they've won, don't get me wrong, but this is not the Nord we've been so used to seeing. And for me, a lot of that has to turn to people like Romeo, who, again, have been struggling to be clean on the engages that we've normally praised him for. It's the worst I think I've seen him look all year, and that feels harsh to say, and it's only a series and a bit, but this is not what I've expected from a guy who, for a long time, has been one of my front runners for best support in the league.
Just wanted to get something on the screen for everybody, since this is the AD carry show. There you go. Ecstasy, I mean, can you do much? And this is really interesting. Look at Lingard. Where's the Ezreal? No, like, you have Kai'Sa and you have Zeri, and they often bring some sort of other damage into the game. This is hard to adapt, because Memento was saying, hey, if they pick this, we're ready. I don't know what this is, but I don't think this was it.
Yeah, we've these are stats from playoffs so far, and you can just see, honestly, like, the power that Lingard's been in the bot side, really. I mean, I'm looking at the damage stats specifically and these kind of things. Like,
very impressive.
He is, yeah, he is. And part of that, I mean, you can say, like, he's playing Ziggs, which will have a lot of poke and that kind of thing, so your damage stats naturally kind of get inflated when you're just throwing bombs from 2 screens away. But generally speaking, even throughout the regular season, he's been that kind of guy for Venom Crest, right? He's one of the few, I would say, teams that we have still in the NLC, and probably just in general with League of Legends esports as it is right now, that has their bot lane being their main carry now, right? Normally it's actually more to do with like mid laners and stuff like that, to be honest, with the ADC is going into mid here. So Lingard, absolute stellar in that first game, and like I say, we've all said here, the fact that it was on an Ezreal, an ADC, which is not something that we traditionally associate with Lingard, can provide hiccups now in this draft moving forward here for Nord.
And I like that point, because it feels like, compared to, say, this time last year, where bot lanes were the be-all and end-all, they can still be in the meta. We still see some things like the Kalista lanes come out occasionally. You've still got options to run towards the Kai'Sa and stuff. It's just not as much a guarantee. We have seen things like a lot of those AD carry mid lanes be really, really scary. And speaking of those options, the Ezreal first pick for Nord this time around is a flex. We know it. Yeah. Ecstasy and Hump both play it, but the response might well be, well, we'll get the Maokai for ourselves. Theocax, huge player of the champion. It's a takeaway from Yoka, and Yoka is maybe a little reliant sometimes on that Maokai to make things happen. So we'll see what they decide towards. Lucian, also a flex, is very much a mid laner at the minute and has been very, very high priority around the world.
So here's the thing that I do want to raise the question when it comes to the extent of these AD flexes for Venom Crest. Yes, Ezreal is a flex here, and Lingard did great on it, but he doesn't play so stereotypically compared to other ADCs. Like, he's not really an auto attacker in the same way, right? Like, he slings out skill shots, Qs, these kind of things, right? Which I do think, if you're more of like an AP, like if you're a champion
Caster
pool
type thing, yeah,
exactly. So I do wonder, you know, would Lingard still be comfortable on something like a Jinx, for example, that is more of an auto attack style champ? I don't know. That's just me thinking out loud here. As we're moving forward here for the draft now, we've got a lot of damage already coming through. That Karthus being slammed in for Yoka. This Ezreal is going to be a flex as well. Still some of that tankiness, some of that engage. We do have Rel open if Simpy wants to pick that one too. Leona's obviously still an option, and there's lots of things that can go through here. But it is going to be the Rakan like we saw in the first game.
He was so good the last time. Yeah.
He was really good in that one. And one of the benefits of having a Rakan is you're a bit better when your teammates are kind of like zipping and zapping around, and someone like Lucian, he's dashing forward, he's doing all this. Like Rakan he can keep up, unlike some of the other supports.
Yeah, and Rakan is fantastic as secondary engage as well, because if you are Rakan, unless you find a really good flank angle, and you can obviously, Rakan very good at that. But you often find a lot more potency if you can battle dance to an ally, that E, to jump to an ally, and then go W, and then use your R, so you extend the range of your engage by following up on someone who's already jumped into the fray to give you more options as a champion. And you've got the Maokai to help with that. Hell, honestly, you've got the Lucian to help with that if you really want to. I think for the side of Nord, though, they've gone back to straight comfort. Yoka's put a lot of time into the Carthers in recent weeks, and that's something I'm sure he'll be very happy on. Romeo will be playing the Nautilus over Hunt's profile right now, which is why it's confusing me briefly. It's the champion he kind of debuted into the NLC on. We know how much he plays that jump. We know how good he can be on it. So I think that's perfectly fine for them. I also just think I rate taking the Ezreal away. I will say that if it does go towards the mid lane, the Lucian has okay trading patterns into that, because much like into the Corki, which we see Lucian into, and it's Lucian favored but still playable there, and I think that's similar here, you can effectively use your Relentless Pursuit to dodge the Mystic Shot and then trade back with your own double shot yourself. So as long as Lucian is quick on the draw with the E, you have got tools to potentially win out some of those trades, but it is very much a skill-based matchup. They are suggesting here that actually they expected to go mid lane, or expecting that as a possibility, so they're getting rid of a couple of those AD carries bot lane. Ashe is still up and available, though, and you've already got the Nautilus lock-in, so that's a lot of very good single-target pick right now. Add in the Karthazar, add in the Ezreal follow-up, and you can definitely single out someone for a lot of misery. Still debating some other kinds of options. I did mention Kalista Renata earlier. That'd be a very different style of play, though.
That's a very, complete doof lock-in, by the way. That I blinked and it was on my screen. So, yeah, Venom Crest are very happy with putting Lingard on that one. It does mean, to be honest, though, their damage profile is a little more favored towards physical damage here. But obviously, Zeri is quite hybrid. Maokai will add a little bit of magic damage. It's not the end of the world, I wouldn't say, that they've got so much physical damage there. I do think there are ways around that, especially since Nord is not the tankiest team comp here. So, especially if this Renekton's going to get locked in, then yeah, it's not too bad, and that is going to be Nilay's pick here. So Narn Renekton, 2 games in.
So you got the Gragas on the previous game as well on the top side if you want to bring that AP as well, and he is comfortable with that one. That could be a nuisance. That could be a nuisance for Ezreal and Kalista.
Yeah. Ezreal and Kalista aren't the best at dealing with that, actually.
Yes.
The Karthus, if he's depending on how they build, could struggle a little bit as well. But there's not a lot of people here who you need you need a way to consistently blow the passive off Mundo to stop him from being CC available. Renekton only has the W, not the easiest there. And also, we've had this discussion before when we've seen the Mundo, even in the NLC the last time we saw it. One of the ways it works is Renekton into it. You either have to do what Bwipo did and build Blade of the Rune King all in on that percent HP damage, but then you don't become a Bruiser, you become a really glass cannon Renekton, which is very risky. Or you just commit to not being able to deal with him. And I'm not sure how easy the build options are going to be to deal with a late game Mundo this game. And I feel like if Venom guys can get to 2 items fine, they're in a great position. However, Nord have got so many ways to run over early lanes. And if they get to level 6 on Karthus and start diving towers at level 6, they could snowball really hard here in my eyes.
Yeah, I do like that team comp from Venom Crest. I think the Mundo is a really smart pick. Renekton shouldn't be able to deal with him. And in the lane phase, and then once you get out, Kalista Ez not the best targets either, and it's a champion that you don't build Ninja Tabby versus. I know this may seem like a small thing, but for Renekton, he's not going to be able to go Ninja Tabby this game, and that would actually take a lot of edge. yeah, especially against Mundo, those cleavers he's chucking at him, that's magic damage, mate. You're not gonna get any benefit from Ninja Tabby. So yeah, that will also mean that one of their premium frontline champions now isn't going to be quite as strong into what would otherwise perhaps be quite a ADC focused damage output there for Venom Crest.
We had an interview yesterday with the coaches, and as we go along this broadcast, we'll showcase more and more of that interview. But one of the parts that I find interesting right now is that Memento stated that whoever wins this one, it will probably be dominant. So either it will be us or it will be Venom Crest. There's not going to
Feeling
be
better
a
about my
3-2.
3-0 prediction suddenly.
I feel the same. I'm looking at my predictions and I'm like, I did an oopsie. I don't know. Foxtrot, you're used to this by now on Summer Split, so don't worry about it. With this in mind, it's time to
I don't know
toss
what you're
it.
talking about, mate. I voted Venom Crest. I need Nord to win so I can reach net 0 again, man. I'm plus 12 right now. I need to go 0-12 today. I'm struggling right here. Venom Crest
Different game for the
doing
rest
too
of us, I
well.
tell you.
I swear, confusion of the highest order for me. But well, let's toss it to the casters. Maybe they have another idea as we jump into this one. Middlecott and Rudut, can you explain?
I think it's good to see one of the members of the broadcasting team committing to net 0. I think the climate targets, we've not really been sort of adhering to them as much as we should have been on the NLC. So good on you, Foxtrot.
Yeah, we respect the grind, honestly. Just the effort that you've put into staying as close to neutrality as possible hasn't gone underappreciated.
Not at all, not at all. But we have got game number 2 coming up in this series. We didn't have anything particularly funky for our Joss in game 1, but we got some spicy stuff as we hit the riff for game 2.
A different bit of my hair is always drooping.
Right, I hate the way I left on webcam. No, I don't know. Let's get going again. Venom Crest with a win in this game would set up a match point for a rematch against Ruddy Esports in the final. Nord, though, desperately attempting to get this series back on track.
And again, a reminder for those that may have missed last week, despite Venom Crest going down 3-1, I'd say a good portion of those games were relatively close. It wasn't a one-sided affair by any means, and of course Venom Crest were also able to find themselves their own fight. But Nord, 3 members strong, ingressing to the top side of Venom Crest's jungle, pop down that early ward, and then immediately retreat. But look at the map, Middlecott. I'd like to draw our attention to the top lane, specifically the members of Venom Crest, which are located within the top lane.
I'm going to say that Simpy and Lingard definitely not listed, either of those players, as the top laner for Venom Crest. So,
Nor are Australian.
shenanigans afoot, potentially. Potentially going to be disrupting the clear of this Carpus. Obviously very important that he gets the blue buff so he can spam out those Skittles and actually get his clear going. Looks like Venom Crest have got something planned, though.
Tense times, as Lenny gets hit by the slow, and will just either flash or die.
Yeah, Jukka, you need to leave this situation very quickly.
It was die.
Certainly a decision that you can make, but I mean, from Venom Crest, right, this is absolutely fantastic. You've slowed down Yoka. He's going to have to go and get to his bottom side, and you're sort of denying as well.
The goal here now should be to take all 3 camps on the top side and then have the top wave crashing at the same time with which that 3rd camp has been taken.
Whoa, no, hold on, rude dude. I was
Sorry?
getting so excited of all the minutiae of what was going on in the jungle that I didn't realise this is a gosh damn lane swap.
What? I told you Lingard and Simpy were in the bush!
I thought they were going to go.
That was the whole point!
I thought they were going to go.
Why?
I thought they were going to leave. I
I
don't know.
brought this up for this reason, is so they can stack the wave, they can dive Nilla, and he should get very minimal XP.
I mean, I was thinking like maybe they didn't feel like diving Nilla. Just potentially just leave the enemy top
think
laner
they
to have
feel
fun
like
by
it.
himself. He's got that level 2 slicing away. Doesn't get access to the dice. He's rooted, shooted, dead on arrival. Kill number 2 for Venom Crest.
And now the goal should be to try and go back to base. If there's a teleport down to the bot side for Lenny so he can catch all of this experience, the ability to dive a Mundo, even at level 1, might be a little tricky. Looking at who's actually gone back to base, it's just nobody. And now they're just continuing to zone Nilla off of gold, off of experience. Lenny hasn't got any farm for himself, but he's getting dregs of XP here.
So is this... Obviously, Venom Crest, we're looking at them, they've got 2 kills. Is this actually benefiting them in terms of the way that they need to be playing this game?
Well, the Dr. Mundo is behind a lot in experience, but has a lot of gold when he finally resets and goes back to base. This is actually a strategy that we've seen a lot from BDS in the LEC. They did this a lot to try and generate some semblance of advantages and also dodge really tricky laning phases. The Kalista, the Nautilus, obviously a 2 versus 2 that has a lot of power. And of course, you are getting to see the rewards that Nord get to reap. Is that down on this bot side, there are no... Okay, never mind.
Oh, there's a little bit of aggression as XT is going to cleanse away the exhaust. Lingard fighting up against Yoka.
Dodge.
Dodges one skittle, but can't dodge the second. So, bit of retribution here for Nord. The game, even in terms of gold, and definitely a little bit bloodier than game 1.
Yeah, this is really good for the Nord bot lane, but if we look at the gold overall, it's dead even. The item disparities are going to come on the top side for Venom Crest, and then a little bit in that jungle, a little bit in that bot lane in favour of Nord. As Hunt, you get to see not just proficient on the Tristan and knows his way around the Ezreal as well. My point being, the benefits that Nord were able to get down on that bot side are that there's no fortification on plates in your bot lane turret. So that thing that stops top laners theoretically from snowballing to infinity in that fortification and getting a ton of plates is not present in the bot lane. It did give Ecstasy a lot of gold there.
Yeah, we did just see on the minimap a little bit of interaction between the junglers, Theocax finding Joker as they were both contesting onto the Rift Herald. Ended up going in favour of the Maokai. Drake, number 1, going to be hitting onto the Rift very, very shortly. Venom Crest, for the moment, having priority in this lane, but given the early strength of something like the Nautilus and the Kalista, it is something you'd expect Nord to manage when they need to.
And especially now when we take a look at the items as well, Lingard is sandbagging the early game, not for any particular cause, but he knows that he's going to be losing out in the 2 versus 2, has opted into the cull of all items to start himself off, whereas Kalista is, for the first 15 minutes of the game, already full build, has those tier 2 boots, he's now more than happy to start dashing around and finding very, very easy forms of rending. Getting to go back to base though, Lingard, down in experience on Simpy, let alone down in experience on Ecstasy, so this Zeri is going to be a long ways away from any form of power.
Yeah, not the best position to be in, but I think one of the things that Lingard has shown throughout the split, maybe not as much in that series against Ruddy, but his ability to play from positions where he's actually not all that far ahead.
How about a level behind?
Yeah, this is not great. Not great.
Same sort of vibe though. As he's, gonna have to try and pull something out of the hat with that one. Drake started up down on that bot side, so we'll get to see early on a little bit of a control for Nord once again. They took the first 2 Drakes last game. They've taken the first one this time round. Taking a look at where Theocax is on the map. There's no trade immediately for those grubs, and that wasn't necessarily the case in game 1 either.
Ooh, very fancy feat there by Ecstasy. I felt that Simpy was for sure going to be able to secure a knock-up onto the enemy AD carry, but not so successful. Nord do need to be careful though, because when I look at this composition, whilst I am seeing strong scaling elements in the Karthus, in the Ezreal, if those aren't enabled, there's also a lot of damage which is going to fall off as we get later.
No, absolutely. I mean, once we get later, I actually wanted to look at this Mundo pick a little bit more in isolation, because we were theorizing, the desk were theorizing a little bit about how to deal with the Mundo, and my favourite way, maybe not necessarily the most efficient, but my favourite, and I think that it's going to be really actually employable for Nord this time round, is ignore the Mundo. Because he can run at fairly decent speeds. Hold on, mid lane, we're okay. Okay, I'm continuing, as I might not have to. Okay,
yeah, no,
Lenny's on the top side.
I'm not sure you are going to be allowed to say a single thing. Easy as you'd like. Vanilla in the top lane, and whilst Lenny was able to pick up a couple of kills early on, it's Nilla who's got control of that matchup.
All that hard work that went on for Venom Crest in the top side is undone in an instant. One good dive has now just completely taken the ball out of his court. Nilla is 2 levels up as well. Even just the little bits of experience Nilla was able to scrounge up while he was getting dove had an important factor. Managed to give him this slight lead, which is now, translated into doubling Lenny's CS. Moving out onto the map now with an Executioner's Calling, which, as we know, when Mundo hits level 6 is going to be, again, having untold amounts of value. And for the time being, Nord are maybe only 600 gold ahead, but seem to be so very strong at the minute.
do seem a lot more calm and collected. And I think this is the sort of second match in a row that Lenny's actually been able to have an alright time. Well, Nilla's been able to have an alright time against Lenny, just showing the experience this player has up against someone who I feel like we forget sometimes just how new Lenny is to all of this. This is only his second competitive split. And the fact that this is his second time making it into playoffs, I think it's a really good sign for this player as we look towards potential European adventures, but of course 2025 as well.
Definitely a prospect which we've enjoyed seeing in the NLC, and certainly someone that I'd be keen to see further down the road in 2025, as you'd mentioned. We'll be excited to see how they match up against other European top laners and, you know, the MENA region as well. But as for right now, matching up against Nilla, it's not looking too good.
Not at all.
That's 2 plates now taken by Nilla, and when you can't kill the enemy top laner, the way you find advantages is through experiences, through plates. So far the XP is already ahead for Nilla, and now we're just working on those plates, try and get more gold and be that presence in a mid-game team fight. I think that's where Nord are going to thrive. They're going to have to win this game within the first 20-30 minutes. Otherwise, if they get to late game, if they reach it at parity, this Mundo will be a threat, it will be a nuisance, and it's not going to be easy to handle.
And I think that's where compositions that have these such clear early game tools, but also these clear late game tools can really find a lot of purchase, because the engage potential that the Kalista provides won't quite have fallen off. The Renekton is still going to be a threat that you really have to care about, can go for these 1v2, 1v3 plays, buying so much time, and that means that your scalers, whilst they may not be at the strongest point damage-wise, they get a little bit more time in fights, and they can actually pump out and provide not the same level of efficacy, but a similar amount that maybe they shouldn't do at that point.
A little bit of splitting on the map as we go. Yoka moving into this top side, attempting to steal away more camps from Theo. As we see, Yoka already has got that Liandry's completed, so hitting that marker very early on. There is a spawn of grubs coming up in a couple of minutes' time, and that mountain dragon down on the bot side going to be live as well in the next 30 seconds. So we'll have to see whether or not Nord look to play for that Drake, find the second one that they so frequently desire.
They do have TP advantage here on Nilla. Lenny having to burn that to return to the top side of Summoner's Rift. So if Nord want to make an aggressive play and really commit to get this second dragon, they do have that opportunity. But of course, it's a second dragon. There is no massive pressure to take this away if it's going to be detrimental to you in the long run.
Yeah, no big obligations. The main thing I'm looking at really is the ultimate from Karthus, right? We've still got Requiem, and with that first item being finished, it is going to have a little bit more of a sting than they might have anticipated so early on into this game, especially with Yoka having 2 deaths. Seems like the power of that first strike really has come through. 4v4 down on this bot side. Nilla has TP though.
Oh, Romeo's going to get caught out on the flank, still rooted as he makes his way into the river. But here comes the re-engage from Nord. Shum onto Nilla, wonderfully played out here by Venomcrest as they get the first kill of the outnumbered fight. Ends up being a 1-for-1, the dragon going in favour of Nord, but that was so well played.
Yet Simpy again on this Rakan. Yes, he gives his life, but the charm is enough to save his entire backline from being under siege. And this time as well, Lenny able to claw back some crucial resources that he needs on that top side. He's going to get himself a plate, maybe 2. Gets himself a free recall as well. This is going to be really important for the Dr. Mundo, because he was so far in a pretty tricky position. Right now, though, that is going to make it less tricky. I'm not going to say it's going to equalise the matchup, but it's definitely going to make it easier for him.
Yeah, with the Warmogs now picked up, basically can't kill him in a 1v1 scenario, because just so much sustain available to that champion.
The thing comes from, you have to all-in the Mundo. Mundo notoriously difficult at getting all-in when he has his ulti. If you don't finish him off in the first instance, he just ults. Gets himself back up to full HP, and then Warmogs is up the rest.
Oh, Simpy looking for Hunt, not quite able to find him. Lenny roaming down from the top side as Nord have already taken away 2 of the grubs that were in the pit. Can they get the third? Well, they're going to have to deal with the fight first as Yoka just keeps losing HP. Will finally flash away before Romeo goes back in with a hook. Hunt, arcade shifting over the wall as here comes the Requiem. Not enough to burst down anybody as Fierce goes in for the kill. Hunt flashes, still gets knocked up. It's so damn close. Yoka with the smite to take out the enemy mid laner. And now it's just him and Theocax, low mana on the Karthus. And Theocax can't play the dodging game. I've got no idea what happened there, Rude Dude.
Okay. Everybody died. That's what happened. That's the power of Karthus, is that occasionally you'll get kills back. I think the important part of all of this is where the kill allocation went. And Yoka came out huge. He picks up a myriad of kills across that top side fight. He's going to be able to find himself vastly accelerated now. Goes back to base, picks up those tier 2 boots. Has himself a codex as well in the back pocket for a little bit of more repetitive ultis. And whilst I can't really break down for you much more than that in terms of who came out on top, we have to give a quick shout out to both of our AD carries who got a very bitter experience of top lane just then.
Yeah. Just kind of existing, doing nothing.
Yeah.
Everyone else is having fun on the other parts of Summoner's Rift.
And they're just farming.
Yeah.
Pressing auto attacks, pressing Q.
I swear we invited you to the fight around
the
grubs.
It got sent to the right. They sent it to mid lane.
Ah.
Not quite the right address.
Must have been what happened. Well, Nord have done a pretty fantastic job at clearing away these early objectives. 2 dragons, 5 grubs, and a Rift Herald. Can't really ask for much more than that.
You can ask for 6 grubs.
Yeah, you can ask for 6 grubs, okay, but that's not much more.
Fair play. And as we look towards how the turrets are starting to break down and now in this mid lane, map moves made by Nord instigated by the team who are down 0-1 in this series, and now a fight mid lane.
Oh, hold on, they need to be very careful. A multi-man charm from Symphy into a 3-person knockup as well. The tower is going to be falling down, but members of Mord might be following it. Theocax dodging a game, getting one more smash back, and Fierce will cull down the rest of them. That's huge for Venom Crest.
That was 4 versus 3. Theocax just went crazy on the Maokai. His Bramble Smashes found a double kill in the first instance. Again, Simpy on this Rakan is having a monster performance this series. Catches 3 people with the charm, then 3 people with the knockup, in tandem with the Maokai ulti coming through. Lingard comes in to mop up a tier 1 turret, but Fierce is DPSing the entire time. The 3 members of Venom Crest, the same roles that we were hyping up in spring, they may look very different, but the identity of the organisation Middlecourt appears to have been the same.
Yeah, fight someone in mid lane and kill them there.
Yeah.
Seems to be working out all right for Venom Crest, as despite all of those early objectives falling in the way of Nord, the gold is favouring Venom Crest, and how the gold is favouring Venom Crest in that middle lane.
Yeah, Fierce is now just a fiend if he goes into any semblance of team fight. 2 items fully completed, 5, 1 and 4, farming exceptionally well also. And this is now when I start to get really worried for Nord, because we'd already highlighted that their composition was one that was supposed to thrive through the early game, and that their tools for killing a Mundo later on, definitely fairly tricky, fairly low resource in that capacity, and it's not going to be an easy task to take down a Dr. Mundo. At the minute, they've got a little bit of a reprieve. He's built only health, which, don't get me wrong, is scary enough, but there's no armor. There's no MR just yet.
Yeah, now he's just walking at you, and
Yes.
he can die. But once he gets those on board, the dying part becomes a little bit optional. I want to say big credit to Venom Crest, actually. They've lost out on so many of these tower-taking objectives, but they're still the one with the tower lead, retaining top and bottom outer, at least for the time being. Drake going to be started up, soul point for Nord. They can take this away, and Venom Crest willing to commit the TP to try and make it happen. Nilla looking for a flank. The Drake is going to be slain by Venom Crest, and they are warding away the Crocodile. Simpy ends up going into absolutely everybody for another multi-man charm, but Venom Crest are playing retreat for a little bit before they get hit down the Requiem, enough to take out Simpy, but Lingard survives on single-digit HP.
3 for 3, but the Drake goes to Venom Crest. They stop the stacking, is the important part for the Vipers. Now, again, a very split fight, relatively disjointed. Nilla not particularly able to get involved until the very end, when he decides, alright, I've had enough of being zoned, I'm flashing on the marksman and I'm killing him.
But the setup from Venom Crest still good, understanding that you need to keep that Renekton away at all opportunities.
Whoa, that's a high value Hex Splash.
Oh, that is good.
That's why you take the rune. Those are the Hex Splashes you dream of.
Nord
Attempts
now
on this top
looking
side.
something around top lane. Theocax potentially going to be in a little bit of danger here. Does have a friend or two. Gets a multi-man knockback again. Ecstasy not getting hit with the autos. What more would do it? Fierce is able to trade out 1-for-1. Simpy and Lingard in the area now, though. Yoki, you need to be very, very careful as Hunt starts to rotate over. The Rakan going to be going for the engage, helping out their AD carry now as Lingard has to kite to save their life. And Simpy, I think he's just going to be sacrificed here. A little bit unnecessary from Venom Crest. And Nord bare their teeth and bite down.
Fierce manages to find one. Lenny making the most of his team's transgressions on the top side. A bitter Requiem I thought was cancelling a recall. He's actually doing the same thing but in the top lane. And Lingard, red for free gen?
I mean, like, you are just dead here. Like, no way. Like, you get autoed by Romeo, and then it's the easiest Q of Yucca's life. Might not be able to get out of it alive, though, as he's going to get culled down by Fierce. And I think Romeo is going to be killed numero 2. Gives that one over.
Alright, a TP comes in from the Lucian and he returns to the slaughtering ways that we've seen from Fierce so far this game, having again an exceptional performance. But this game, it's got a little bit weird. It got a little bit crazy in the mid game. After an early game that was relatively muted, we found ourselves almost 20 minutes into the game with 33 kills to split relatively evenly between the two teams. 20 minutes on the board as that Baron spawns. Venom Crest have started hitting it.
Yeah, absolutely, going straight for it. Nilla doesn't have the TP. Yoka is dead for the next few seconds, so without the enemy jungler able to offer any assistance, I think Venom Crest are just going to be able to pick this up before Nord are even anywhere near. 2,500 on the Baron. It's coming down. Theocax doesn't actually have the smite just yet. Finally going to be able to take it out, but Nord will look for a fight afterwards. Able to find engagements onto Simpy, onto Theocax, but Yoka needs to be careful. He gets thrown into the air and exploded, but Hunt follows him over the wall. Simpy not quite close enough. Lingard steps back to get him in range. And Venom Crest escaped with a few health bars intact, a few Barons to the goods. 3
people still have the Baron, and for me, importantly, Fierce still has that Baron. A side lane threat that can utilize 2 lanes for Venom Crest is going to be crucial. Obviously, they lost a couple of members. They lose a little bit of tempo while they're waiting for Lenny and Theo to respawn. The question becomes, what can Venom Crest do with this Baron on their remaining members? Odds are Lingard groups up, stays in that mid lane. Is going to be your mid push that you're looking for. But ideally with this, Venom Crest should be looking to prize 2 lanes open. They've got a mid and a top lane outer turret to take. If they can get both of those, that gold lead is going to expand.
Yeah. I think that's the crazy thing is, as bloody as this game has been, neither team has got anything close to a decisive lead. Nord were looking good with the early objectives barely 5 minutes ago, but Venom Crest have reasserted themselves on this game in a similar fashion to game 1.
30 seconds until that dragon spawns. Looking crucially at the disparity between marksmen.
Oh, hello, we're looking at Theocax getting engaged onto by Romeo. That is what he does. It's been a rocky playoffs for the Nord support, but if you want engaged, you call Romeo.
And I was just about to draw attention to the disparities between these marksmen. Hunt, though, doesn't feel like he's behind. Only 2 items on the Ezreal versus the Lucian 3. Only 2 items on the Kalista versus the Xerxes 3 as well. Now Nilla getting chunked out on that top side. And the Drake should be the prize for Nord here, having taken down the enemy jungler. Venom Crest looking to make sure that they're not getting nothing with this Baron time.
Yeah, it is a strange situation they find themselves in. Issuing a lot of priority to get towards the top side. Requiem's going to come down.
It's 3 gold. First strike.
Not quite one-shotting people yet, though.
No, true.
They'll need to be careful. Charm coming out onto the Renekton. He's able to survive with the shield for the stacks. And Romeo is here just in time to prevent him from going down, though. You still got to cut through Lenny. Spoiler alert, you're not going to be able to do that. Simpy finds Romeo with the knockup. Fierce providing the damage. Dashing back on the Lucia, but now Ecstasy is here to look for the fight. Theocax disengaging, and the True Shot Barrage hitting a couple members of Venom Crest, but no one that's going to die.
Overall, this is a massive win for Nord, though. Enemy team finds Baron, and all they get to take from it is a top tier 2. They will take that every single day of the week. They even got to put themselves on Soul Point. So Nord, despite, again, a little bit of ignorancies around the top side of the map, getting caught out, getting Baron taken from them, sniffed away at. We get a little glimpse at the first strike. 355 gold so far claimed.
It's not a lot.
Not yet.
No.
That's a pair of boots.
That is a Dark Seal.
Oh, that's 2 whole stacks of AP that he's farmed for himself there.
I mean, that's very nice.
Better than nothing.
We're memeing a little bit on the Karthus first strike. He is at 3 items though now, so kind of not a laughing matter anymore.
Is that a byproduct of the first strike or of the 40 CS disparity that he has and the 8 kills maybe?
Let's not forget about the 8 assists as well. And I mean, if he does nothing with his next one, he could be 888.
Yeah.
Which is probably one of the most Karthus scorelines that is possible to have.
Equally, one of the more infrequent scorelines we tend to see from professional junglers as well.
Nah, it is a rare one, but a delicious vintage if you ever get to try it. A little bit of a lull state now, not too much for these teams to do as it stands. Baron's not going to be hitting the river for a couple minutes, and still 3 minutes until that soul spawns for Nord.
Yes, it gives 3 minutes really for Ecstasy 4 Hunt to get those 3rd items in. Again, really can't overemphasize how important the items for the marksman are going to be for Nord specifically, because again, that ticking time bomb of Lenny in the top side, it's about to go off, really. We've got this Mundo who has these 2 HP items built up.
Oh,
and now
Simpy looking for an engage. Not quite going to be able to find it, though. Only Charming Romeo. Yoka's actually going to be chunked very low, and Nile's forced out of the fight again. Crikey, that was a big old W from the Zeri. As Nord the ones in retreat, but neither team really won that fight.
I would argue that Venom Crest feel a lot better about their stakes on it. Obviously, there's nothing on the map to play for, so unless they can break open this mid-tier 2, doesn't amount to all that much. Any poke onto the Mundo gets quickly healed up, and, you know, to sort of add insult to injury to the marksman for Nord right now, instead of finishing off any armor item, Lenny says, hold on, your biggest threat's actually the single AP threat in Yoka. I'll take a cowl, please.
Just specifically, like, you draft a composition with AD top, AD mid, ADC, and the Karthus does all the damage, but not enough to take out Fierce. Ecstasy chasing him down low.
Look at the map. Here comes the rest of the Nord roster.
Romeo throwing out the hook onto the Rakan. And Fierce is not long for this world. Simpy is soon going to be joining him in the Death Chamber. This is a big commitment, though, by Nord.
Look at the mid lane.
As we've got a push going in the mid lane. That inhibitor tower falling down. Nord sticking around the bottom side.
Yeah, they're going to commit to trying to take this tier 2 turret now. It's a bit of a double-edged sword for them because Baron's live and they've got 2 people dead. They probably just want to head up to this purple worm, start trying to take a fight around this. Fierce has got teleport, but he's got a 30-second death timer over his head as well.
Yeah, and it's a 2-carry composition from Venom Crest. Whilst Lenny is able to do pretty disgusting amount of tanking up, he doesn't do as much damage as he'd necessarily like. Fierce is going to be able to TP into this engagement in 15 seconds, but that'll be too late.
Flash available for the Maokai. There's a blast cone there as well. Lingard still has ulti, flash, and barrier.
Throws it down, goes into the pit, and steals the Baron from under the noses of Nord. Here comes Lingard. Here comes Simpy. No. Down go the bodies. Hunt's trying to clean up, but he can't do it at all. Nile will dash away. He may escape. He may live to tell the tale. But it is a bloody one for the demise of Nord.
The Callista gets clipped and the Zeri goes wild. Lingard was again phenomenal. Those summoner spells coming up massive for him, creating just enough space between the Zeri and the Maokai, the 2 fallen members of Venom Crest. They were the heroes. Theocax jumps in, steals away the Baron, and Lingard once again stepping up to the plate in these team fights.
It's another Baron start for Nord that comes back to bite them. Game 1 so close for so long. Until the team on the blue side for this game got a little bit too antsy. Walked into the pit. and lost it. A similar situation has occurred in this game as Venom Crest reassert themselves once more.
Denying the soul here, a formality for Venom Crest. They have all the control over the map right now. Again, the damage that is going to be coming out from Fierce, from Lingard, the disparity in those marks, and I've been talking about it all game, but with good reason. The front line for Nord is nowhere near as existent as Lenny is for Venom Crest, and if the power of a Maokai with a Liandry's with that locket as well doesn't just give Venom Crest enough of a boost. Trying to take down any of these Venom Crest members just became that much harder.
Maokai going to be thrown down, and Nords do not respect it quite enough. Romeo going back in, fighting a multi-man knockup, but there's no one helping him out! Simpy going to be giving his life for the team fight, giving his life for the cause, as it's more for Venom Crest. 2 inhibitors off the board. I think 2 Nexus towers may be falling soon.
Nexus as well. Venom Crest try and take this game. Game number 2 in their sights.
It's all on Hunt, it's all on Ecstasy to stem the bleeding, but they shall not be able to do it. Kite as much as you like, you can't stop Venom Crest. 1 game away from finals.
Away from that main stage of EMEA. It comes from this. And a comp that was looking always to outscale, made it.
Yeah, and honestly, what is series? You've got both very, very close games. Venom Crest with a little bit more class in the last 2 games that we've seen. Do or die now for close. We'll see you break.
Break it down, break it down. Step on the gas, let's get out of town. We gonna break out and have some fun. We gonna do what we never done. Oh yeah, yeah. Come on, take your body with you. It's a money weekend. Everything we wanna, we go do. We go do. Let's we go do.
And Solo, when we look into both teams, both teams are coming out of a loss. You versus Ruddy, and the DMG versus Nord was a complicated one. I remember on the interview, like Yoka came in shaking, so it was like this is a win. It's kind of a loss, but it's a tough one. We were looking to both teams mentally. Is Venom Crest drained? And I'm going to toss it to you as well, Memento. I want to talk a little bit about mentality for both teams. Hansol, you can start.
Well, when it comes to Venom Crest, I have to say that I personally, when it comes to coaching, I really like to get on to talk with my players a lot, more than just the coach-player level. So even if there was some disturbances, because obviously when you lose a series, you will feel a bit depraved. I made sure everyone is back on track. I think I'm doing a good job. So yeah, I think mentally we're here and ready to advance further.
Okay, nice. Memento. Mentality for the team of Nord after DMG. Obviously, getting a rest was necessary, but how's the mentality right now?
I mean, I think mentality is very important when you come into best of 5. I think it happened to us as well last split, if you remember. We were in the same position as Venom Crest. We went top 2, and then we played against Lions Creed. We played a full 5-game series, and we didn't really fully mentally recover afterwards. So I do think mentality is extremely important. And regarding like the DMG series, it's good that we talk about it. We were whatever, la-da-da-da. But at some point, I think it's important to leave it behind and then fully focus on the next thing. So I think the players are mentally freshened. They've put it behind them. They know it was an embarrassing performance. But at the end of the day, it's like it is what it is. So.
The snake sinks its teeth in the Phoenix neck. And I don't even think Harry could save him at this point. 2-0 in favor of Venom Crest. What can they do? North picking up the blue side. But let's talk about the game before we jump into that one. Because Initialize, you brought it up. Hey, North picked a really good early team.
Yeah, they did. They drafted very heavily for lane domination. You have got yourself the Ezreal mid lane, which has been really strong in the NLC. You've got Callista in the bot lane with a Nautilus. You've got Renekton in the top side. Those are all champions about early brawling, early power, and with the Karthus on top, early dives well, because you get to press R on the Karthus and make that happen. And they came out of lane even to behind, because that early game was... Well, I mean, the whole game was wild. What was it? 49 kills in 28 minutes or something? But, like, it was a lot of kills. But you have drafted to win lane, and then snowball for winning lane by taking turrets, taking the early objectives, and having significant leads and ensuring the enemy laners, which want 2 items really, just never get to that point.
It looked like, honestly, so right from the draft, as you mentioned this, Initialize, it was very Nord favoured, right? Now, Renekton, Callista, Nautilus lanes, whatever, sorted. And then Venom Crest whip out the lane swap, and they executed it so well, especially the first 5 minutes of it. I was like, holy crap, Nord just like, what do they do here, right? Like, you kill Yoko in his jungle, like with a late invade, mind you, so he's not even starting his clear until like 3-4 minutes into the game, which is just not good at all for a Karthus, right? And then you crash the wave and you dive the Renekton, and it's like, bloody hell, like, what do you do from that point if you're Nord? Like, it was so clean from Venom Crest. But then from that point, I was a little bit like, it started looking hairy again, because Nord picked up 2 dragons, 5 grubs, Herald, like literally everything they want out of the lane phase. The only thing going for Venom Crest at that point was, some point Nord should run out of gas, right? And that's what you're hanging on to if you're Venom Crest, and the fact that, you know, Callista wasn't like mega far ahead of Zeri, Renekton wasn't mega far ahead in lane either, or anything like that. So you're thinking, okay, yeah, we've given up everything at this point. Maybe though, maybe we just hold on, something can happen, and that's what happened on the 3rd dragon. Well, no, it was the 4th dragon, I think it was, right? No, maybe no, 3rd dragon. When Nord bundled the fight and they lost the dragon, and once you started putting a pause on Nord's dragon stacking, that rush for the soul, that's when it started to fall apart a little bit for Nord, really. And then the chaos that was that game. You mentioned 49 kills in 28 minutes or something. It was like 18 minutes, we had like 30 odd kills. It was almost 2 kills a minute in that game. Like, it wasn't something that just got really crazy at the end. The whole game was insane. There was just so much butchery happening across the Rift. It was ridiculous, and it did kind of favor the scaling team, because they were often going equal in those fights, and that's how Venom Crest were able to pull out in front.
That's what you brought up, Initialize. The idea, if there's a scaling team and this amount of kills, because people at home might look into this game like, oh, they're just killing each other. What's the point of this? The point is to get the team that is scaling ahead and just buying items. You brought up something that I typed in. You screamed in the green room, well, that's a pre-20-minute Warmog's Art Steel Mundo. Deal with it.
Like, yeah, exactly. Like, this is very different if the kills was just to one side, because then the Callista gets to play oppressively from behind. We know what that champion could do, which she can effectively play frontline, because she's just unkillable with all of the kind of lifesteal and everything else. But instead, you're matching gold with the Zeri, who outscales you. You've got the Mondo, who was becoming increasingly difficult to deal with. And the Mondo eventually ran at the Callista around Baron in a, 3v5, and killed the Callista. Yes, the Karthus did a lot of work, and actually serious credit for Yoka for finding kills in ridiculous scenarios. And actually, Hunt and Yoka were pulling out some absolute acrobatics to go like 1-for-1 in a lot of those skirmishes in ways they never should have, because they were like flashing out of Rakan engages or piercing lights to get something back. And so it did become a messy game. But the problem was, it was a messy game that was still trading gold evenly to a team that is better with the gold, that is better with levels. And the Renekton and the Callista in particular started to become less and less valuable. And on the other side, you've got a Mundo, you've got a Zeri. The Lucian and the current game state into that composition got to hit a lot of people for a lot of damage. Like, that's really difficult to manage. And I think now that we've seen 2 close-ish games in some ways, but still ones that Venom Crest have come out on top of, and ones where I've honestly preferred the way they have decided to play out the mid-games, even if it hasn't been perfect, don't get me wrong. I think Nord could be in a very tricky position here, because again, it's not like they can just ban out certain champions and be fine. Those are two entirely different drafts that they've lost on.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I wanted to mention now. Let's looking forward to the next game. What do you do here as Nord? What do you change? Like we had in game 1 a very different draft compared to game 2 for what Venom Crest whipped out. And they already threw some curveballs by showing us that Lingard can actually play these AD champions and that Venom Crest have that as a flex in their pocket. So now moving forward to game 3, it's like, okay, we've made some adaptations, we've done different things, and it's still not worked. Now you start questioning, actually, this is now a big problem. Before we even get into game now, this is starting to get a bit difficult. You said, Archer, that Nord have chosen blue side, so they're going to try and adapt something from this game 2 draft, you would imagine, to try and get something going here. Just from a personal standpoint, though, I'd love to see Ecstasy with a bit more agency in this in game number 3. You can argue, to be honest, they did draft for that with Callista Nautilus. And it was a great read for Venom Crest to do the lane swap to negate that. But now again, Nord, perhaps they'll be more prepared for a potential lane swap. These kind of things, like you would hope. As a Nord fan, let's see what Ecstasy can do, because this guy is sick. He's a great ADC. He's really talented. He's really good, and
he's not had a chance to shine, really, has he?
Yeah, no, we just haven't really seen much of him. He's been very dull this series.
And I think if they did want to go for the Callista lane again, in some ways I'd be okay with it. But if you do, you have to have the level 1 plan to manage the early invades, the early wards going down for that lane swap. And in fairness to them, I actually think Venom Crest had a very astute level 1. They get the first blood, they get the dive. It's not that clean afterwards, because obviously the Doran's Shield only Renekton manages to dive the Mundo with Giant Spell and still get the kill. So it isn't perfect from Venom Crest, don't get me wrong. But imagine if they'd done that into standard lanes, or at least matched the lane swap. And that has to be in the cards if that's happening. But I just think the Venom Crest, for me, have come in a lot better prepped for Nord than I think Nord have for Venom Crest, because Venom Crest are not playing the stuff we'd kind of gotten used to them playing, actually, and still looking pretty good on it. And I think that's caught Nord a little bit flat-footed. They've got the opportunity now to try something new, knowing roughly what Venom Crest are looking at, even if it has been different looks both games in terms of champions, like Yezreal, Zeri, bot lane, all of those things. But still, I don't know whether it's enough data, and I also don't know whether Nord are going to be in their own heads about it, because how many times has this happened in playoffs now where they've been second best, third best?
Yeah.
It's tough to see, and actually, I expect more out of a player like Hunt, for example, who had a very quiet series so far. I expect more from Romeo in some ways, but I actually think he had a better game last time, which wasn't enough. So where are you now? I need to see Ecstasy step up. I need to see Hunt step up. And I think also I just need to see Nord maybe buy a little less into the chaos.
I think Memento brought it up on those 2 clips we talked about today. The mentality, it needs to show up. And preparation. They stated that they have something prepared for Venom Crest. The other clip, I don't know if you get to see the other clip, by the way, because this could be it.
Could be over, yeah.
This could be a sweep. So one of the clips that we have prepared was the idea that versus Ruddy, Nord took everything they needed out to play versus them. It doesn't look like the case. Venom Crest adapted, and I think Venom Crest took more from Nord versus DMG than Nord took out of the Ruddy versus Venom Crest. This is an interesting tag, and in Champion Select, I think Venom Crest have won. Into the early game, I think Venom Crest have won. So, on all check marks, I can see the sweep and look at it and say, hey, I'm losing 24 points today, but it makes sense.
The only thing I'll say is, I haven't hated Nord's drafts in isolation. They've made sense to me. Like, even that first game one in particular, it made sense. But the thing is, on the other side, I think Venom Crest got comps that they were happy with, and they knew how to play, and actually executed them really well. So even when me and Foxy were going, I think I possibly give an edge here to Nord, or even like that last game, so oof, those early lanes could be rough. Venom Crest had answers with the lane swap. Venom Crest played game 1 and played the pick comp with Sejuani and stuff really, really well. I honestly half wonder whether Nord just need to take the Rakan away from Simpy, actually, the more I'm thinking about it, because I think that's been really key to him being able to get involved and get out of plays more than on any other champion, and I think that might be a hidden sleeper part of Venom Crest comps, but we'll see whether Nord feel comfortable enough to try that.
We jump into Champion Select. This could be it. This could be the sweep coming in from the Snake, or the Nord Phoenix will revive itself. That would be poetic and actually in Lord with the characters that we have. So far, in terms of Champion Select, same old, no adaptation.
That worries me a
Same
bit.
bands. Where's the Ezreal?
Is it Ezreal Tristana?
Yeah.
Okay.
It hasn't been Ez's first pick this whole
The entire
season.
series,
The entire
yeah.
city.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, not too surprising to see that one. Hunt wasn't great on this Ez last
Maokai
game.
second.
He was
to be
okay.
honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a little bit tepid, to be honest, and I want to see
That's
Hunt
the word.
just roaring, red hot fire. It just wasn't that. We're getting a complete salty run back from game number 2. Which
Replay.
is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
that's
Nord,
cool.
I would genuinely consider at the minute, Nord, picking up the Rakan away from Simpy, who I think has been really good on that. That might be the adaptation. I think they're happy enough with the Ezreal. They might want to look into a Sejuani as well, rather than the AP carry. But then again, I also think Yoka was really good on the Karthus. So I think that makes sense. But if you're going to do this, Hunt needs to have a better game, or you need to give it to Ecstasy.
I think they just want to think about. I think Nord might be thinking here, like, okay, we like the draft was good, but we got cheese.
We didn't
level
execute,
one.
yeah.
You know. So maybe they just genuinely do a solid run back and are content with that. So far, it literally is the exact same draft. Like,
Yeah,
completely
if this
the
is
exact
a
same draft.
Rakan here, we know.
Yeah. Yeah, and if it's not, then I would 1,000,000% agree with you, though, initialize and ban it. Just get rid of it, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, it might not be, like, the most optimal pick to ban away, to be honest. Like, it might not be the reason you're losing, but Simpy has been great on it. It does offer a lot. It's great into the Karthus as well. So, yeah. It is going to get slammed in, and I think we've seen enough good things from Simpy's Rakan here to really value what he's able to do and fear it coming into game 3.
Stuff of nightmare, I would say, as we're waiting for the Ziggs to be banned from the other side, so we can do a follow-up of all the bans and all the picks so far.
I'm just going to pull up the past draft
Wow.
so I can see exactly what it was.
Yeah,
Let's
they
have a
take
look.
away the Kalista instead of the Kai'Sa, and Jinx was the next one in favor of Venom Crest. On the other side, it is the Smolder and the Ziggs.
If this is, and they banned the Callista separately this time, so there is that to note. But yeah, they've got
difference.
Kai'Sa or Jinx, so it's going to be slightly different. They've gotten rid of that Callista. But I don't know whether that changes that much. It might mean that actually Venom Quest are happy not to lane swap this time. But we shall see. There's still the Kai'Sa and the Jinx they have generally banned away. Which are they happier to give up? I personally think the Kai'Sa is more obnoxious right now. Because I think with the Maokai and the Rakan, you've got a fair number of ways to threaten the Jinx. But Ecstasy is such a good player of it. They just said, look, it's a comfort thing. We'll get rid of it. We much prefer the Kai'Sa matchup, even if normally that's something you don't want to give up in the current meta. They could pick it themselves, I suppose, as the other option. Just trade the Azeri, I suppose. But that matchup's common enough right now.
Yeah, does Lingard play much of Kai'Sa? I don't think he's played it much at all. You know, I guess you can do like AP on it. I'm chatting a lot of rubbish. It was the most played in the regular
I thought he
season,
played quite
at
a lot
least.
of it. Yeah.
No, he did. I'm lying.
Be good here.
Yeah, so this actually, honestly, it would not be a bad little swap over here as well, especially considering, as far as ADCs go, Kai'Sa is probably the most magic damage dealing ADC that we have in the meta right now, and obviously with that Lucian mid, it makes a lot of sense, and it's a bit of a takeaway here for Ecstasy too. So you called it initialize, ban Jinx, pick Kai'Sa, and now you most likely are just going to see like a Zeri swap over or something along those lines.
Did
maybe
see
we'll get a
this
curveball.
from? Didn't we see this from Nord into DMG? I know. We saw somebody playing, didn't we?
Yeah, we have seen Seraphine Bot. I can't quite remember off the top of my head.
Or was
who
it Ecstasy?
played
I
it.
think it might have been, but nope. They decide, okay, Tristana's free.
Esbot?
We're getting that towards the Tristana mid for Hunt, which is by far his most comfortable pick, I think, in the moment. You have a traditional AD carry for Nille, who's on the Ezreal, especially considering the pool's been pinched. This looks like a Nord comp to me so far. They could use some frontline, and they've got a couple options there. The Gnar, the Renekton both work. They could Ornn if they feel like they really want it. But it means that Nille's unlikely to get anything super exciting here unless they want a Jax, I suppose. Oh, yeah, Cassante, that pick. I think he's 66% presence across pro play this year, by the way. That champion has been big in pro.
Yes, and last year was something similar as well.
65 or something, yeah.
Yeah, Lene is a great Cassante too. So this is somewhat of a takeaway if we are going to lock in the Cassante, which it has been locked in. Yeah. So it's going to be Cassante on top, which I do think does have more of a thing about him that you can play a bit more of a carry style with Cassante a little bit. I mean, Adam got a pentakill with Cassante in the NLC, right?
It was
so
mad. Yeah. Still lost that game, by the way.
That's the pentakill curse, mate. That's it. Yeah, that was his first mistake, was getting that 5th kill. Should have left it in the corner.
Yeah, that's it. I think we all know it. What I will say is, jokes about Cassante and pentakills aside, Poppy is super valuable this game. Because if you get rooted up by the Maokai, Poppy pressing W will deny the Cassante, the Nautilus, the Ezreal, the Tristana, and particularly those last two for finding easy ways to escape. And that can be really huge then for the Lucian and the Kai'Sa to jump on those targets who don't have the mobility they're so used to using. You can bust a shot the Poppy away potentially, but I still think that can be a really dangerous pick here, and I think it's really smart from them.
Yeah, I quite like what Nord has done, to be honest. Like, you've got 3 very well-defined carry roles, so you have things to fall back on if something doesn't quite work out. A lot of mixed damage profiles as well. Some decent scaling coming through there too. My slight worry is, firstly, Tristana into Lucian can be quite difficult. Lucian is good into Tristana. And also, do you potentially maybe even just have too many cooks in the kitchen? When you've got hard carries, jungle, mid, and bot, like, I do sometimes think that can be a detriment to your team, right? Whereas, on the other side, Venomcrest are just focusing on the Lucian and the Kai'Sa as their carries, and the rest of the team built towards facilitating that. But I will say that I still like Nord's draft, and to be honest, I think I might give it to them for game number 3. I don't think this is going to be a sweep.
Okay, Initialize, do you believe in magic?
I believe in the 3-0 currently. I think Nord have failed consistently in the mid game. I think they've been sloppy around their objective setups. I think we've got another draft which can go either way, and it's gone Venomcrest way pretty consistently. I need to see Ecstasy play a lot better. I need to see HUD look like his normal self, otherwise this is still a Venomcrest.
That's a rough prediction, but it's a reality nonetheless, so take it as you will, as we're about to jump into what could be the last match of the day between these two teams. Remember, whoever wins goes on to play on the 3rd of next month versus Ready to decide who's the winner of NLC. Whoever loses will have to play tomorrow for the last chance qualifier at Enemy Monsters. So, fight for your life, Nord, or fight for the throne, Venomcrest. It's up to you. Middle cut in the Rududs.
Damn, I mean, that is a horrible proposition that Nord are facing right now. Not only losing in playoffs and losing out on your chance to make it to finals, then having to sort of dust yourself off again and then play the next game. And it's not like those LCQ games are ones that you can ignore, right? You need to be giving 100% in those too.
And they're ones that are going to definitely be challenging. Just because you've been spending, ideally, this whole week trying to prepare for the best of 5 that you've got today, you've then got a potential turnaround of 12 hours, to get yourself prepped, ready, and sleep before the next game happens. So, a lot of pressure on Nord coming into this game.
Yeah, and we'll have to see if they are able to create diamonds under that pressure, or whether it will be too much and Venomcrest will come out victorious. We'll see you in game. Game 3, 2 teams on the precipice. Nord stared down into the abyss. And Venomcrest, well, their heads are well and truly turned towards the sky. Potential shenanigans here at the level 1 Simpy. Wishing that entrance was just a little bit grander. Romeo looking for something instead, though. Double stun secured by Nilla as Simpy has to flash away. The Cassante falling low. Romeo falling low. And it is the ideal start for Venomcrest in this potentially deciding game. Nord not giving up on the chase, though. Simpy, one mystic shot away from death, but it will not come. And Venomcrest walk out with first blood.
And in case any of the carries from Venomcrest fancied it, I think 400 gold in Lingard's pocket seems like the most devastating place for Nord to see it go. Lingard has been exceptional so far this series, and I think in no small part due to Simpy as well. They're definitely standout performers in this series. Simpy on the Rakan, the desk highlighted it a little bit that just this pick probably needed banning or taking away. He's got his hands on it for game number 3. It's been instrumental in their wins for the first 2. It's difficult to see that not being the case for game 3.
Yeah, Lingard and Simpy are forced to return to the bot lane a little bit later than they necessarily would have liked, but this does give them a reasonable health advantage over XD, who didn't base after that skirmish and made his way straight down here.
Also a small thing, but Ecstasy won't have a health potion because he used it based off of that level 1 skirmish. Now, the important part is going to be whether or not there's an experience disparity and if Ecstasy and Romeo can make the most of it.
Oh, Knockup not quite connecting onto the Ezreal. Cleanses away the exhaust, but it's still Lingard and Simpy on the aggressive! A 2v2 kill. This game is going from bad to worse for Nord.
Brilliant play once again from the Venom Crest bot lane. This time it's Lingard with a perfect W flash buffer. Catches Ecstasy off guard, catches Romeo off guard as he thinks that Romeo's going to be blocking the Void Seeker. Instead, flashes over the top of the Nautilus to get the 5 stacks of plasma, get the damage down, and get the kill.
And you know what's better than first blood on a Kai'Sa?
A second blood as well?
Second blood on the Kai'Sa will do just the trick. And as opposed to something like the Ezreal, these kills, this gold is translating into power now. That first blood caused the second kill to happen, and we may well see a third and a fourth fall just as quick.
And talk about a snowballing item in the bot lane for Lingard. Cole picked up, baby! Wait, sorry. Thank you, producer. No, Cole's not a snowballing item.
Okay.
It's a I'm winning and I can afford to take 450 gold and cash in later.
Yeah, well, I mean, fundamentally, right, Lingard's got 4 weapons in his inventory and XC's only got 1. So this General Grievous kind of looking guy coming at you in the bottom lane, I think he's going to be winning.
What is a cull? I can attribute a
like
dagger, a blade.
It's like a... and you... it's a scythe.
All
I'm
right.
pretty sure.
Cool. All right. That's
do
good enough.
you know what a scythe is?
I do know what a scythe is.
Well, congratulations.
I grew up in a farming town. So, you know, I've been familiar with 1 or 2 farming implements.
Yeah, it's not the sort of traditional way to slaughter cattle, but you guys made it work.
Yeah, true. You know, so we just really despised cows. Definitely didn't use it for wheat or anything. That would be crazy.
That'd be ridiculous.
One of the things that I do want to highlight, though, and a sort of a parallel that we saw from game 2 and that I expect to see in game number 3, is the tank shred nature of these 2 compositions. And again, I might have to hold that because Nilla is under a little bit of pressure. Has Flash.
Theocax making his way over and stuff ball used, but the dash denied. Grounded now on the Cassante, giving him no chance to use any of his dashes. And Venom Crest, after having maybe lost out a little bit in the early games of the first 2 games of this series, they're the team in control.
Yeah, again, these small interactions, but this time favouring Venom Crest again, another grand entrance, but Lingard fighting back here.
Yeah, and with the item differential, he feels happy to just hit onto Ecstasy. The Ezreal still not having returned to base, and so is severely underpowered compared to the Kai'Sa in these 2v2s.
Important part, though, thank you, Simpy, for showcasing, is the potential for sustain from this bot side for Venom Crest. They've obviously got Biscuits on Lingard, but they've got the Gleaming Quill, maybe one of the most overpowered laning skills that there are, just because of the amount of healing it can give you for such a short mana cost. Simpy.
Oh, Romeo needs to be careful. Yoka turning up for a gank in the bottom lane, but I'm pretty sure that Nord players were the only ones that actually got hit there. Lingard throws up the barrier. Simpy still surviving. Yoka not quite connecting with the Skittles. Romeo looking for a re-engage to try and help out the rest of his team, and Nord are actually able to get a kill. Theocax, it doesn't look like he's going to be able to survive this, and by the slimmest of margins, Nord finds something.
This is big. The series still alive. To all intents and purposes, Venom Crest was snowballing their way to an early night, but down on the bot side, Yoka, Ecstasy, and Romeo play those slim margins. They find 2 kills, both into the back pocket of Ecstasy. A carry who so far this series hasn't had the standout performance of the regular season, but that has certainly got him these kills and gets him a little bit of buying power in this game.
Nilla getting a little bit antsy with Lenny. He's had the number of the Venom Crest top laner in a lot of these laning phases, but that hasn't translated into W's for Nord just yet. Simpy and Romeo matching each other in the midsection, trying to ensure that their respective mid laners are able to get the shove out just okay, as one grub going to be taken away by Theocax. Yoka moving over to pick up the remaining two.
Pretty decent from Theo as well to be able to just take away one of those grubs like that. Carter's a champion that clears so quickly, can very easily get through all three and not really feel like it's tanking his clear speed all that much. The fact that Theo's able to sneak one of those away, definitely going to be very impactful. And the fact that as well, with those grubs off the board, expectations are that we'll turn our attentions towards the dragon. Is Hunt now in trouble?
Oh, Simpy going forward again. The rocket jumps from Hunt. Well timed. Every time he seems to play this champion.
Was a prio pick for a reason. Back end of the regular season, we saw Hunt Tristana be the reason they were winning games. In their series versus DMG, didn't get a look in at the Tristana. Was a pick that was banned from him every single opportunity, but Venom Crest let Hunt have it in game number 1, and he didn't perform, didn't live up to that expectation, and has resorted back to it now in game number 3. After game 2 it was left by the wayside. Now got both those prio picks that we were expecting to see B1s on Nord's side. Thus far not being able to make the most of them, but we're still early on.
Decent trading pattern there from Ecstasy. Got the Sheen, you got the Tear. If you're all inning the Kaiser, you are still going to be getting absolutely blasted, but you've got a little bit more agency in this lane at this point. Yoka also has been level 6 for a little while, but he's been able to stack up relatively decently and has built a CS lead for himself in the jungle.
Might be able to turn toward this Drake now as well, try to contest it. We've got Fierce with first move in mid lane, so Venom Crest have their eyes on the objective.
Yeah, and the Maokai button is going to be pressed by Theocax, and Simpy trying to get a little bit more from it. Romeo going to be knocked down as Exy now engaged on by Lingard. Venom Crest just throwing themselves at the Nord ADC.
Can Hunt clean.
And are able to take him on out of there. Simpy stuck around to try and help out his boys as Lingard gets a double before Yoka gets the same. Another messy fight in the early stages, but I think Venom Crest come out a little bit happier.
Yeah, they're going to be smiling about that one. 4 for 2. They take the dragon as well to win for Venom Crest on the bot side. Nord so far this series had been prolific with trying to take those early neutral game objectives. This time round though, Venom Crest are able to put a stop to that and put kills onto their carries once again. Across the board, their kills are in all the right places. No kills for the jungler, no kills for the support. It's all on mid, it's all on AD. Lenny doesn't exist this game, I'm afraid.
Well, he's not really been able to have much of an impact. It's a kill to the good, which will be nice enough for him. Romeo. Hex flashing from enemy red buff, because that's just sort of thing that he does. But what's really worrying me now, right, is that we've had decent early games from Nord that they haven't been able to transition through the mid game. Because credit to Venom Crest, they've just been better at that point. I'm really worried about what this game looks like for Nord, because they've been losing mid games when they're at an advantage, and now they're at a reasonable deficit.
So, to play devil's advocate, they've only been losing because they've been throwing at Baron. When they're not ahead, the chances of them throwing at Baron do go down significantly.
So this is some sort of like 4D chess high IQ strategy. Guys,
we're going to bait Venom Crest into throwing at Baron instead.
We just lose early and then we win late.
Yeah.
Impeccable strategy.
Oh,
that seems pretty aggressive. Out from Romeo, flashing for the engage onto Lingard, and credit to him, manages to get that summoner spell off the enemy ADC.
Yeah, if Romeo was level 6 there, that's very easily, maybe, you know, not necessarily a kill with flash still available for Lingard, but that HP does certainly begin to look a lot lower. Not Yoka here, as he just misses out on the recalls of the Venom Crest bot lane, but now immediately start to transition that recall into taking more of this bot side, and a bit of a different strategy from Nord this time round, sacrificing happily those grubs on the top side. Looks like Yoka And put a little bit more emphasis on Ecstasy. Make sure that their carry is set up to take these fights. But Venomcrest, wise to the play once again. Send Lenny down here. They're not upset if Lenny ends up sacking a wave or two. It's all about Lingard, all about keeping this Kai'Sa relevant. And by swapping away from where the Karthus is showing, that's exactly what Venomcrest are doing.
Yeah, and all the time that Yoka is here is...
wasted.
Yeah, he's not clearing his camps. He's not getting involved in any sort of kills for his team. All right, he's got nothing to pick up on his side of the jungle, but as it stands, the Karthus is kind of just wandering around, not doing all that much. Lingard and Simpy, though, they've decided that bot lane tower plates aren't cool anymore. They'd rather get them on the top side of Summoner's Rift.
Worth mentioning as well that by this point, fortification's falling off and that the first 2 plates on any turret are a lot easier to get than the last 2. So the fact that all 5 were up there available for Lingard means he's going to have a much easier time taking down those turret plates, and it's the same amount of gold for each plate. Just a lot easier to claim.
Oh, Hunt going aggressive onto Fierce. Gets the buster shot, but not quite the kill. Requiem's going to be able to finish off Fierce and start to see the combination come into play from Nord. The aggressive play from the Tristana rewarded so heavily when you can just call in a giant death laser from the sky.
Yeah, and a rare miss there from Simpy. Wasn't able to connect on the Grand Entrance, which could have put Hunt in a much more vulnerable position. But worth mentioning at this stage in the game, if we take a look at our junglers, it's the only real shining point for Nord outside of that mid lane that we've just seen go quite well for Hunt. Yoka, full Liandry's already finished, and he's had that for a while, where Theo on food stamps at this point. Yes, he's got his Fated Ashes and working towards that mask, but nowhere near it just yet.
And it's one of the elements of this.
He's going to go back and finish it, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, probably. That has been what's happened literally every single time you've made a prediction. There we are. But even so, right, when you're going for this style of Maokai, where it is the Fated Ashes, the Liandry's, the Phase Rush as well, you're not actually all that tanky.
Correct. Expectation is that you'll go for the Warmog second item to just give you a little bit of health, but we got to see it last game with the Dr. Mundo. Health is great, but it doesn't give you all the durability that you need. You just need to make sure that you're playing with your health bar with that in mind.
We've got the second dragon of the game. Started up at the moment by Venomcrest. It doesn't look like Nord are going to be able to contest this one at all, and the first tower taken in the bottom lane as well. This game keeps going well for Venomcrest. Nord will need to find a counterpunch.
Yeah, and I think that for the moment, Lingard is going to feel unstoppable. If I'm the Kai'Sa in this game, I just feel so insanely powerful that we should be taking every objective. We should be taking every single fight. He's got 2 upgrades at this stage, or 2 full items anyway.
Oh, hello, what?
Oh!
How on earth has that happened?
Gonna have to assume that some sort of steadfast presence interrupt has come through, but Lenny, with the flash trade onto Hunt and finding the solo kill, the exact target that Nord don't want to be falling flat, and he's doing, unfortunately, just that.
It's going to open up some space for Lenny to get a decent chunk down onto this top lane tower, if not take it. Remember, with the additional damage that Lingard and Simpy provided, it falls over with ease. And the constricting nature of Venomcrest is starting to become more and more apparent. It is getting harder and harder for Nord to breathe.
Their strangle on this game continues to grow little by little, and then solo kill by solo kill with Lenny. Nord turn their attention to the top side. Looking at this Herald, but again, there's not really a part of you that should be looking to fight this as Nord. You are just behind.
Oh, getting jumped onto, and Romeo just dies.
We've been critical of Romeo this series in playoffs. That one, not particularly a transgression on his end, just simply deciding that he wanted to kill a Nautilus and doing exactly that.
Mid lane priority secured by Venomcrest. Lingard moving over to help out with the Herald takeaway. There'll be another objective falling for Venomcrest. That mid lane tower is still standing for Nord, whilst the top and bottom have fallen around it. With that Herald in inventory, I'm not sure that turret's going to be there for very long.
Gets summoned up. Question becomes whether or not anybody wants to take a little trip inside the Herald, or if they're going to let the charge do the job. Just the one, but it is going to be more than impactful enough. Once again, you're not quite fast enough, not quite in position to catch out Lingard on a reset. What we will say about Nord, though, they see somebody goes back to base, they're immediately trying to take back some semblance of coverage straight into this topside jungle to spot out. This time it's Fierce.
Yeah, but the solo kill potential from Yoko maybe isn't there. Romeo flashing over the wall.
That'll do it.
Get a kill over to the Carthus. That'll do it indeed. Those sorts of plays are exactly what Nord need right now.
And looking at the rest of the map, with those tier 1 turrets being down, the cross map is a lot trickier. Again, because they saw Lingard take the reset, they know that there's not going to be a mid-wave pushed in time. They know they have the time to make a play on the top side without any recompense.
And what turnaround for Venomcrest from Spring. After having a promising regular split, they faltered towards the end, getting 3-0'd in the first round of playoffs.
And it looked like that was going to be the case again. Week 6, we were coming in, Venomcrest, they're 1-1-ing their way through, and then 2-0. 2-0 again to close out the split. Those woes, those concerns that we had about their form heading into playoffs just subsided enough, and now coming into playoffs, again, losing their first series versus Ruddy wasn't a one-sided affair. Venomcrest put up a good fight. But now up against Nord, it doesn't look like Nord have got anything to show for it.
I'll tell you what, this is what a one-sided affair looks like. As Yoko's going to be caught out, charmed up, and shot so many damn times. Shut down gold going over to a Lingard, and it's not enough damage from the Requiem to slay the enemy ADC.
And it's deaths like that which are so seemingly inconsequential, but that have so much impact on the game. A shutdown going into the already hyper-fed Kai'Sa, not just because of the gold that it gives to Lingard, but because of the dead time that Yoka now has. It's not just that the Carthus is off the map, it's that the only shining point of Nord isn't on the map. Their ability to do anything should be completely deflated off of that pick, and it loses all of their power in the game.
Yeah, that's not a great thing to occur when we've got Dragon spawning in a couple of seconds, especially when that presents a soul point to Venomcrest. They've lit up the bottom of Nord's jungle like a Christmas tree. And once again, we are going to have no contest from the blue side team against this objective.
But it's not like Nord are trying to find anything elsewhere on the map. You can see bot lane not particularly pushed in. You can see mid lane, they're the ones who are having to answer the wave. And if we look at top lane, there's nobody there to shadow hunt if he tries to step up and take that turret. This is a dragon for nothing, and Venomcrest put themselves on soul point. It is only a cloud, but if they get the cloud soul early enough, that actually gives them an opening to Elder fairly soon.
Yeah, I think every time you look at the cloud soul, you're thinking about what that's actually going to get you in terms of your capability to take fights, and it means that Lingard, if he wants to be a little bit fancy, if Simpy wants to go aggressive, then they are slightly more enabled. Romeo's just going to get walked down. There is absolutely nothing he can do. The flag from Lenny into the knock-up. Absolutely exceptional stuff from the Venomcrest top laner. Big chunk from the Requiem as Elite is moving over, but gets turned onto by Venomcrest. The fight IQ just higher for the team in green as they get their third pick in a minute and head to the Baron.
And I don't think a throw is in the works here, Middlecop. No smite available. Yes, Hunt's there. Yes, Ecstasy is there, but they've both burned their flash. Looks like Hunt found a 1 versus 1 in the top side versus Fierce, but that as a prize for this Baron is not going to feel good.
The smite to confirm, to secure. And Venomcrest will make their...
I stopped the Poppy's recall, guys.
Woohoo!
That might give them a little bit of time in the mid lane, but overall it just feels inconsequential as Lingard was able to get back to base. Now, in case, once again, the Kai'Sa wasn't strong enough, now has a stasis in her back pocket. If, for example, Lingard goes one step too far forward. Which hasn't been the case, particularly in this series.
Well, particularly over the course of this split.
There's a chance for him to keep himself safe. Still has Flash, but now has that Seekers as well.
Oh, and now we've got Romeo caught on the wrong side of things here. No killer instinct onto the Nautilus, not quite off cooldown. And maybe not quite an optimal idea for Venom Crest, but they're in control, they're confident.
And look at them across the map. Not pushing too far in the mid lane, but let's look at top, let's look at bot lane. Fierce pushing in that side, Lenny pushing in another. The options for Nord just getting slimmer and slimmer as the game goes on.
And what a turn up from expectations coming into this series. I think the prediction graphic almost told the whole story. So difficult to call. Both these teams with exceptional players, exceptional gameplay in isolation, but feels like there's only been one team on the Rift today, and that has emphatically been Venom Crest.
Lenny 2 levels up over his laning counterpart. That's the other half of this gold lead for Venom Crest, because in fairness to North, they still have chances. If we look pound for pound across the Rift, their mid-jungle duo is up 4,000 gold. You put those two in isolation, yeah, maybe.
Oh, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen, unfortunately.
One more W. Doesn't quite find it. Well, that's the jungler gone. That's that 2,000 gold lead. That advantage that you have in an area of the map forced back to base. The Baron's still at Venom Crest's back. They've got 40 seconds left to work with this. They've taken down 2 tier 2 turrets, and it's the high value ones as well in the side lane. So they managed to give themselves a lot of gold.
And they might be able to get themselves even more here as Miller gets caught out on the front line, rooted in place. Romeo looking in for a little bit of a go, getting a multi-man knockup, but the damage just isn't coming through from Nord. Ecstasy! Arcane shifting forward to get every little bit that he has. But it doesn't seem to be enough. Simply flashing away, but still getting hit by the hook. Yoka now going to be isolated by Lenny. Hunt going forward. Lingard looking back as the Poppy is just all on their own. Some Nille went into the back line, and here it comes for Nord. The Requiem wiping them down, but it's still a one fight for Venom Crest.
Fierce and Lingard are still alive. They're still kicking. So is Lenny. As you mentioned, Middlecourt, a perfectly won fight. Yes, it stops the bleeding, but at this point, it's almost torrential, the blood that's pouring out of them.
Turning into a 2v1 very shortly. This is not looking good for Lenny. Not quite able to pick up that shield, and despite all of the armor on the Poppy, Hunt will eventually take her down. Soul for Venom Crest is on the Rift. Theocax up. Yoka up. Both teams going to beeline towards the bot side.
I think that kill gives Nord the 5 minutes that they'd be seeking. No top laner for Venom Crest means that big front line not actually going to be available. If they can find a pick, Venom Crest, maybe they can look for it, but with Theo moving in toward the Raptors, looks like Nord have done just enough with that fight and delayed the recalls and delayed those death timers by just enough to buy themselves 5 more minutes.
And the mind wanders to the possibilities that kill has opened up. The universes where Nord gets something out of this series.
Game 5 versus DMG. Nord were down 6,500 gold at 24 minutes. Nord are in this lower bracket final. DMG got sent home because of a Nord comeback. Venom Crest now in a position which is very, very different. A 2-0 lead, staring down a clean sweep of the 3-0 is much different psychologically than being up 3, being in a 2-2 position, but we've seen it before, and we'd be remiss to think that it couldn't happen again.
Lenny there, knocking back Hunt out of the area. does reveal to Venom Crest they've got a numbers advantage in the middle lane. It looks like they're going to be taking full advantage of that fact. It's Romeo, it's Nille, the initial focus. The tanks, they're meant to live so damn long, but they fall so damn quick. Venom Crest in the blink of an eye wipe out 2 members of Nord and could look for the series.
They make one play down on the bot side, it fumbles, Lenny holds the line, and Venom Crest are sieging for their spot in the upper. The instant final.
And in goes Theocax. The fangs sink in. The venom is injected. But Nord hold on for a moment. They do not succumb just yet.
Inhibitor broken open. A 6,500 gold lead between the two marksmen. Lingard. A stellar performance from start to very, very end, and we're not there yet. Still, the whispers of a potential comeback, you have to think about it, but fierce as Venom Crest have been, it doesn't look for the world as though they could lose this series.
Surely not. Surely not. In the NLC?
Never.
An upset, a turnaround, a series of events, unfortunate for some, but unexpected by all. No, we're not quite there yet.
Venom Crest, though, they just need to keep their heads. They are on the edge of this glorious 3-0. They have Baron up. They have so much control over how the game gets played. Head toward the Baron. Use your Kai'Sa for poke. You still have Maokai ult to keep Yoka in place. Don't lose your heads now.
Nille going for the TP. Venom Crest backing away. But Romeo not allowing them to do so. Theocax walking away with minuscule amounts of HP as Fierce is culling on the other side. Hunter's dived into the backline to try and get anything that he can as Lingard escapes on single-digit HP. Nord are doing it. Nord are doing it, but Lenny still stands tall. Ecstasy gets away just in time. It's not over. It's not over yet.
Both marksmen are still standing for Venom Crest. There's no TP for Lingard. He can't get back into this fight, but Fierce just pushed in the mid-wave. It's completely nothing. No Baron goes down. Nobody's going to end the game. And in 20 seconds, when all of our death times are finished middle cop, we're going to do it all over again.
Reload, restock, resupply, and get back to bashing your head against the Baron. Venom Crest with attempt number 2. Nord a hell of a lot further away.
The death timers in favour of Venom Crest. Theocax was the first one to go down, means he's the first one to come back alive. The pressure of the mid lane inhibitor meant that Nord had to respond. They had to send people back to base, and Fierce, with that push in the mid wave and then the immediate turn toward the Baron, give Venom Crest their second big objective to close out this game.
But Nord show us that it is not over until it is over. 4 items on Hunt. So often this team has turned to that man in the mid lane to get them out of sticky situations. Well, this is probably the stickiest that anyone on Nord has been for a while.
It's like a primary school painting session. It's just a mess. And Hunt's the one who's got to try and clean it up. Because as much as Ezreal, very skill-expressive champion, he's just not in this game. 2.5 items, he's too far behind the curve, staring down a 4-item Poppy. We could spend 20 minutes with Ecstasy trying to kill the Poppy. It's not going to happen.
As we've got a lovely shot there of Nord's jungle. Black, devoid of vision or light, and as it stands, potentially devoid of hope. Dragon Soul for Venom Crest. Elder, now a possibility should this game get extended. Robo looking for engagement, the counter engage, the response from Venom Crest being thrown down. Baron minion wave at their backs, the Requiem going to be used, dealing a fair chunk of damage, and Lenny's actually going to get focused and burst. Gets away from himself as...
Another good hold from Nord. Yes, Lenny's got teleport. There's another wave coming. Still a minute left for Venom Crest, and that little bit of Warmog's power of life-stealing kits is going to work well.
Yeah, Fierce just pulling through that mid lane. Nord are going to have to respond to that in a way. Lenny dashing forward, only finding himself on top of Romeo. The inhib goes down. Simpy goes into the back line, but he's got no one following him to provide the damage. The first kill going in favour of Nord, but now the wallet differential starts to come through for Venom Crest. Inhibitor number 2 slain. There is just no killing this Poppy. And Venom Crest, I think they want to do it, rude dudes.
Turning their eyes onto the Nexus turret. That demolished proc nuked it down. Ecstasy now very low.
The ult comes through. Ecstasy is not going to be able to live it. And Hunt gets caught. Venom Crest. They sink their fangs into the prey once more. And this time, the dosage is going to be lethal. Nord paralyzed. Eyes open. Fully aware of the pain, but Venom Crest do not care. 3-0 into the finals.
And they book themselves a spot as well in the main stage of EMEA Masters, an organisation that got promoted into Division 1 just this year, now representing the NLC in the top level of competition possible.
What a story for this organisation to go on the journey that you've described, but to secure their first ever finals appearance in this manner is exceptional. And whilst Ruddy have already beaten them once, they're going to have to do it again. I'm not sure it's going to be easy. We'll see you after the break.
Break it down, break it down. Step on the gas, let's get out of town. We gonna break out and have some fun. We gonna do what you never done. Oh yeah, yeah. Come on, take your body with you. Bring some money weekend. Everything we wanna, we go do. And slash, we go do.
I have an interesting question for both of you. Whoever wants to start it, then you can take your time answering this one. As a coach, you're doing the champion select as I'm being attacked by Rengar. You're doing the champion select and you can ban specific champions. Let's imagine the scenario would be different and you could ban a specific player from the other team. Memento, who would you ban from Venom Crest? You don't want to fight against him on the Rift. And what would you do? Han Solo, who would you ban from Nord?
I don't know. I think they all are pretty solid. I think the guy with the biggest champion pool is probably Lenny. I guess I would remove Lindgard because I don't like AP champion spot. I think they're very uninteractive.
I was expecting that one. I was expecting Lindgard.
Yeah, I think that because everyone else is like pretty normal.
I don't wanna seem like I don't have an opinion, but like I said previously, I really want to see the fight tomorrow because I think we have some of the best AD carries in the league. So with all due respect, I would remove Ecstasy from the game.
Yeah, me too, man. I'm with you, man.
Okay. We want to be one as ADCs. Let me play. Let me.
No hard feelings, just take him off. Hey, we can all agree on that. Ecstasy, you're out. Thank you so much. We'll see you.
A clean sweep gets Venomcrest a ticket for finals. A rematch between Ruddy and Venomcrest at the end of playoffs. That's poetic, and just like the video, it's poetic that I don't think Ecstasy got to play at the end. He was banned. That was
I mean, like, that was the coach where I said, oh, I want to make sure Ecstasy can't play the game. He could not play the game. Game 2, lane swapped away from Kalista, didn't get to play the game. Game 3, Lingard on that Kai'Sa was up nearly 8,000 gold individually. Like, we had a 2.5 item Ezreal versus a full build, late game level 18 Kai'Sa. Like, there's not playing the game, and then there's playing the game just to suffer. And I think really what has happened is he's having some Dantean experience in League of Legends, where he's like stuck in the 5th circle of hell, having this absolutely miserable, torturous experience. I don't think that wasn't exactly not playing so much as playing just to feel like, you know, didn't really get to play the game on that.
No, that is the biggest gap between roles that I've seen all split. Like, it's genuinely almost 8,000 gold difference between the two. Absolutely insane. How do you play that? You don't. You lose 3-0.
You don't. Yeah. So with that in mind, it looks like Nord is out of playoffs, and they have to play tomorrow for the last chance qualifiers. For the EMEA Masters, it's going to be a rough schedule. So that's why I'm going to take long with this interview. I'm going to make it short. Well, let's talk with Stergios from Nord. Welcome to the interview. Oh, that was a rough one. Like, how do we even start into this one? Champion Select Memento was talking about a specific plan versus Venomcrest. Did you get to execute the plan?
Yeah, basically we executed what we have prepared, minus the Kalista pick, let's say. The Kalista pick, maybe it was too overeager, you know, let's just get in there, you know, fist fight more, which didn't work out. But I think the first game was really important for this series. We should have won that.
So, when you look into the series itself, it looked like every single thing you prepared, Venomcrest was one step ahead. I don't know if you feel the same, like with the lane swap, the late invade, the third game where there was a first blood. Like, everything, it looked like Venomcrest was one step ahead. Do you believe, like, the loss, not the loss, but the win versus the MG with the 5 games and all that affected the mentality of the players coming into this one?
No, I think DMG showcased our weaknesses. It highlighted them. We knew that they were there, but it highlighted them. But I don't think the lane swap was necessarily planned out good. Like, we were ahead in XP. We took our plates. It wasn't that bad. What was bad was that we were forcing and they were defending. Like, they were just waiting for us, like a sneaky little Rengar. So, and they jumped on us in every single moment that they took. And that was good from them. That was their plan. That's why they took the Rakan, a very mobile pick that can force with Maokai and Sejuani, and they executed it really good. They were better than us today.
I'm glad you brought that up, the Rakan. On third game, we were like, surely Rakan is either going to be banned or picked by Nord on B3. Don't you think like it was worth the ban or the pick just to take it away from Simpy? I don't think it was like the winning condition, but it was part of it, you know? Part of the equation.
Yeah. I know it was part of it, but I think Simpy could also play something like Leona or something like Nautilus himself. So if you cannot ban out a certain player and the picks do more or less the same thing, because he could also be waiting with a Nautilus in a bush and go on us, you know, or with a Leona on a bush. I don't think, like, Rakan played a really good role, but I don't think this is why we lost.
Okay. So tell me something, Stergios. Last chance qualifier tomorrow. It's like you don't even have time to breathe. Instantly jumping into a best out of 3 scenario. Only 4 teams will survive on it. Talk to me. Give me your opinion. Give me your mental state. I'm gonna let you rest. I know you and the team really required it right now, and I favor competition more than interviews. So do let me know your last thoughts on EMEA.
Well, as always, we will try our best to win, right? But it goes with our days. I think this. I promised you that you will see the the good Nord in the playoffs, but as it seems, it's the bad Nord in playoffs, and it so happens. I don't think something. Let me be honest with you. I don't think something will change from today to tomorrow. We might be a little bit bitter. We might be a little bit angry to ourselves, etc. We will still try to play our game, and if enemies play like Venomcrest did, we will take the loss. I guess.
That's the best mentality I think you could have right now, to be honest, Tertius. I'm going to let you rest a little bit. Congratulations on the entire split. Do you have anything to say for Nord fans before we wrap it up for the interview? And you can go to sleep and rest a little bit.
We are thankful for everyone that cheered for us and was interacting with us. We couldn't deliver what we were planning for. Sadly, we did our best job, but it didn't showcase in the Rift. But anyways, thanks for everything and for being here and cheering until the end.
Hey, thank you for being here and for doing what you did last time of the split. Thank you so much, Tertius. Truest words never have been spoken. I don't think there's going to change anything between today and tomorrow. Mentality is a rough run right now, so I don't know what you can do as Nord for Last Chance Qualifier.
But these games, particularly games 1 and 2, have moments where Nord were at least throwing punches. It wasn't like they were completely out of those games. Game 3 is a different matter. I mean, late game, Venomcrest maybe overshoved a little bit. You began to wonder, oh, Hunt got a shutdown. But realistically, that game was done. It's just a matter of dotting your I's, crossing your T's, and Venomcrest could have been a bit more efficient about that. But there wasn't much that Nord had to say about it, really. But I think for games 1 and 2, we saw exactly what they could do if they get the chance to throw some of those punches. I think they're going to be kicking themselves around some of those objective setups. I think they'll be kicking themselves about not raiding that lane swap. But I don't think they were without hope this series. And that, I think, will hurt a little bit more. But it does mean that I don't think they should go into tomorrow feeling like they need to change absolutely everything. And yes, you can feel angry. Yes, you can feel better. Let it fuel you to higher highs. And even if not that much changes, I don't think Nord are a bad team. I just think Venomcrest were better prepped and knew what Nord were as a team.
There you go.
And that is credit to Venomcrest for going from Split 1, where they played one style, which was, with the Pike comps, the reset comps, to this, where you can have someone like Lingard pop off on so many different champions, have that ability to flex in the AP carries that must get bound away, and deservedly earn themselves a rematch with Ruddy.
Yeah, I think Nord, as the split went on, especially once they acquired Yoka, like, they were on an upward trajectory. I really respected them as a team. I thought they did some really good stuff. Unfortunately, in playoffs, it just didn't really come together. In their series versus DMG as well, it was great tenacity for them to win. It was a good character win, to pull that one out. But unfortunately, in this series against a high caliber opponent in Venomcrest, it just didn't come together. But I do think, real focus should be on Venomcrest and just how well they played this series, because they just had Nord's number right from the get-go. As Initialized says, there were some moments that were a little bit hairy. There was a little bit of chaos knocking about the Rift today as well. But it was just a good game from Venomcrest, and I think a 3-0 is kind of unexpected. Maybe not for the prediction god Initialized, who predicted 3-0 for Venomcrest, of course. But
perfection.
Generally
right
speaking,
this is what it looks like.
This is peak male performance right in front of you, right there. And it doesn't come from the Adonis on the left; it's the man in the middle.
Everything they set up, Venomcrest were ready and waiting for it. Like a little slippery snake. I think they were a little slippery snake today, and they got it. So let's talk with the snake. Let's talk with Simpy, because he's waiting for us. And Rakon. Hey, Simpy. Let's talk about this. How you feeling? No, I'm not listening to you right
Maybe
now.
No. Okay.
Now I
Maybe
listen.
now.
Okay. Now we're communicating. Okay. Hello, Simpy. Welcome to the interview.
Hello.
Now talk to me a little bit, because I know you're smiling. I know you're happy. I think the biggest sentence that we can start this interview is what Foxtrot stated. You had Nord's number. How was the preparation towards this one? Was it about the DMG versus Nord game? where you got every information that you needed?
I think we always had a grasp on what Nord plays and how do they play, because they play more, I mean, let's say, normal League of Legends than Rudy. So for us, it's easier to plan and play against them than compared to Rudy, for example, which is like the team we have hardest time against. And yeah, I think that's it. Like, no more explanation.
So, on the second game, as soon as you saw the Callista, who was the one getting the call, hey, we need to swap. We don't need this. We don't need to fight on the line. Let's just swap when we're good with it.
Lingard said it. I mean, we said even in draft, when we just saw the pick, we said, okay, we're gonna do this. Yeah. And at the moment, like, I mean, we did it a bit bad as well, like some bad things happened, but overall, it was okay, let's say.
I think on the second game, Simpy, there was a little bit of a trolling somewhere, because you got the early lead, you got everything that you needed. That was a little bit of a trolling. Okay, this means that you don't need to fight for last chance qualifiers, and you already qualified for the big one. How does that feel, though? Tell me about it.
I mean, yeah, like, I mean, I'm sorry, like, I think North is in a pretty bad situation, because, like, you imagine you lose today, and then tomorrow you have to play, like, this qualifier, which is, like, a lot of games, or some, I don't even know how it works, but it's really weird. And I was hoping we win today, because I didn't want to play that, so I'm really happy we are in main stage and not the last chance qualifier.
It's not over yet, Simpy. It's not over yet. You still have to deal with Ruddy in finals. And last time you met, it was not easy. You got that surprise punch, but they came back with the bigger punch. So how can you adapt into that boxing match versus Ruddy? I'm using boxing because it's that. It's ugly, it's weighty, it's non-stop action. How do you plan versus that?
I think in the last best of 5 we got as well. I mean, we kinda were evolving in the series against them, and we were even better every single game. I think even the fourth one we should have won it with the lead we have, but we just started to troll, like me as well. And so, and if we go to 5th game, it will be God's decide, you know, like it's 5th game, so whatever. But yeah, I think the final will be not as hard as the semis. I mean, the winner bracket, I hope. And I think we can be more prepared, and we are trying new picks as well and other stuff to play against them, so we'll see.
And you have a few days before that happens. I'll let you get a rest. It was a short series, but I'll let you rest nonetheless. And I hope you enjoy tomorrow's stream, as everybody's going for last chance qualifier, and you're just eating popcorn and saying, could have been me. Nah. Well, congratulations, you little slippery raccoon, and I'll see you soon, Sim.
Thanks. Thanks for everything, and thanks for all the fans. Let's go.
Wait, what's the decision? Hey, what? Simpy, go away! Simpy, thank you so much! Simpy! Lingard, Theo Cax, and Simpy, they are the MVPs of the day. Lingard was a menace. Theo Cax was also disturbing, but Simpy, he's just charming.
You've got to come up with another word aside from slippery. Like, you've got let the word go, man. Let it slip out of your hands.
It's the word of the day.
No, please no. We could surely better words we could choose.
It's the law.
RoboCop Archeron over here.
Just go on Twitter and vote on who do you think is deserving of the player of the day. It's up to you, not to us, and not to them. They did their best, and now it's up to you. And we also did our best, folks. Don't open your mouth, initialize. Don't.
I don't need to. I think my actions have spoken perfectly well for me.
Show
how did your actions speak for you, Archeron, by the way? How did your decisions go? This is karma, by the way, for you changing the point scoring earlier.
You know what? Oh, gosh.
Oh, dear.
Oh.
Renaming you to Duckling number 2, mate.
I did a duckling today. I did a duckling. Oh gosh. He was flaming me on chat and he got the same.
I mean, the
can't be
real loser
responsible.
here
Tell me.
isn't
It's my
your
points.
Duckling. It's my net neutral goals.
I'm so
Plus
sorry.
10 on the day, right? And I was already plus 12.
Surely
Every
the
day
words.
I stray further from the light. Look at that. I might not
gosh,
even finish
what
9th.
Oh,
I'm at risk of actually
beautiful! That's the
leapfrogging.
right place for me. Ah,
I
6
can't deal
perfect
with
days.
this.
I need one more and I get a week of perfect days.
Wait, that's insane, actually.
I swear, the person who made this, these rules, oh gosh, I need to talk with that individual in a ring match. You know, I just need to communicate with that individual.
Yeah, no, this ain't it because I don't think I can bet 20 points on the last finals,
Nope.
right? So I'm doomed to finish more than 0. We need to find a way to get 20 points out of the last one, okay? So I can still have a chance of achieving my dreams, okay? Because I'm not gonna take it. I can't be like plus 8 or whatever.
Think of the fictional proverbial points plan that you're not net neutral for Foxtrot.
What does that mean?
Don't worry about it.
My brain couldn't take that in. Honestly, my brain's mush. Too
For
many
you,
P's,
Fox, for you, Fox, I have no idea what your objectives in life are, and that scares me.
mate. That's
for you,
fine, mate. That makes 2 of us, baby. Let's go.
Initialize, keep in mind, you'll have to deal with me with more than 10 days in a gym.
Oh,
I'm
gosh,
gonna
can you
die.
keep up?
No, you will.
No, I can't. It's gonna be great. Yeah,
It's gonna be great, yes.
There's gonna be this withered husk of a man.
And that's just him getting out of the toilet before he walks into the gym.
But what we have next for you, what's stored in line? Obviously, the teams will be fighting tomorrow will be DMG and Nord on the last chance qualifier. Keep your eyes on that one. But for those who follow NLC to the rule, we still have finals ahead of us. It's going to be on the 3rd of the next month, as we can showcase it right now. In the 8th, it's going to be Ruddy versus Venom Crest. It's going to be the Snake versus the chaotic evil team that really want to be the evil, the villain on the league, but somehow they have pure hearts. I'm sorry, I have to say it. So, tune in
Their hearts
on the
have
3rd.
slippery morals, don't they?
they're the lovable scoundrels. You know what I mean? That's the vibe.
I like how Initialize just slipped away from that one.
I'm not interacting. It's fine.
I would just like to point out as well for you beautiful people watching at home, this finals is on Saturday, okay? We've not done a
Yes.
Saturday show until now, right? So it's not Tuesday, it's not Wednesday, whatever. It's this Saturday, right? Like
Saturday.
4 days time or something. So, yeah.
Saturday night NLC fever right here
Yeah,
on
yeah,
this
yeah,
channel.
that's it. That's it.
Why
And
would you
that's it.
play
Ruddy
League of
versus
Legends on
Venomcrest.
the Saturday night? Just watch other people play League of Legends. And if you think
Precisely.
about going out,
Go.
why?
Maybe you could convince a local establishment to put it on for you.
You know what? That sounds lovely.
I could get behind that.
Yeah, me too. Foxtrot.
Yes.
Hey, 3 of us. It's unanimous. We have to. Well, with that in mind, we'll toss it from today. But on Saturday, we'll be back for finals for the Northern
Hell
League
yes.
of Legends Championship 2024 Summer Split Ruddy versus Venom Crest. It's do or die for both teams in the best of 5 non-stop action because Ruddy is there. Will Venom Crest be able to handle those punches? Well, that and much more will be live in Saturday, just as Foxtrot stated. So keep that on the schedule. Follow us on all social media. And until then, keep climbing. I'll see you soon.
Nearly the top. Let's go!
At SteelSeries, we make the headsets, mice, and keyboards that the world's best gamers win the most with. And we've been doing it since way back. It's up to you how far you go, but whatever you do, go for glory. Earth is not liable to the dramatic. It telegraphs its intentions well in advance, confident in the futility of resistance. Not in a brash or bombastic manner, but subtly, quietly with small things which may well be ignored, like the tip tapping of a pebble rolling down the hillside, heralding the arrival of an avalanche.
Wow! A double kill! Make that a triple!
The soul goes over to Venom Crest. They found ecstasy.
When he's keeping the pressure up. Lingard receiving no attention at all. The tanks doing their job and causing chaos.
But in the mid lane, it is fierce, single-handedly hammering in these nails.
They've got 2 already. They could get the soul as well.
Says next on the menu, double kill. Could this be even more for Lingard? Killer, anything's forward. It's 3. It is 4.
Venom Crest are one of the newer orgs to Division 1, with this only being their second split. Expectations would typically be low, but Venom Crest surprised in spring, with top 3 and a playoffs berth giving Summer additional weight. It's not about pride or putting on good performances anymore. The only thing that matters now is victory.
And Venom Crest are doing it!
Shockwaves unleashed in spring were still felt during the first few weeks of summer, even if some of the power had clearly dissipated. Venom Crest were getting wins, but after a 2-0 start they fell into a grinding pattern of 1-1 weeks which would last most of the split, and deprived the team of the opportunity to build real momentum. Even within this drought of consistency, Venom Crest teased with glimpses of their power. Dominant wins over Nord and DMG demonstrated that spring was no fluke, that Venom Crest is here to stay. But still they needed to push on. Losses to the likes of Natives and Verdant simply not fitting with where the organisation saw itself.
This monster from the top lane, 6.7, that 8,000 gold ahead. They have to try and find a way to manage him. The damage is there from Venom Crest, but the problem is the nuclear warhead on the other side just signed off on using the football. The keys are turned, and the enemy health bars are disappearing, turned to glass, vitrified in their own base.
It would be a loss to Ruddy in Week 5, which would be the epicentre for Venom Crest's explosive end to the split. Rematches against DMG and Nord presented an imposing penultimate week, but Venom Crest would crush them underfoot without a care in the world.
Booty takes him away from the whole team. Into the waiting hands of Venom Crest they went, and it's Lingard who gets the kill. And now they will break open the paces. Speed says next to the menu, double kill. Could this be even more for Lingard? Killer, anything's forward. It's 3, it is 4. This could be the Penta, but Stumpback and Lenny denies it.
As we said, their neutral objective damage is solid. Venom Crest though looking to come on in here, down to 4,000 HP as the Dragon. Theocax now over there as Nile goes unstoppable briefly, does not get onto anyone valuable as yet. The Grim Visage onto Romeo makes his life very difficult in the back line. Theocax buying space with the Crescent Guard. They've got 2 already. They could get the soul as well. It's all gone wrong for Nord, who are melting in the face of Venom Crest's poison.
Lenny and Theocax were coming back into their own. Fierce was quietly being one of the best mid laners in the league, with Lingard and Simpy giving absolutely everything out of bot lane.
I don't know if they've got this in the tank. That's going to be the nexus. This is going to be Venom Crest just taking themselves into playoffs. Very, very one-sided fashion there from Venom Crest.
Another 2 wins would follow in their final week as Venom Crest hit their stride at a perfect time. Their run of form securing their first ever regular split top 2.
4 health bars off Summoner's Rift, and Sumi will do very well to not be number 5.
And it's not through incredibly clutch moments or crazy drafts or luck that Venom Crest have found themselves here. Another step up the mountain of the NLC. They've just got the basics right. The small things which may well be ignored, like the tip tapping of a pebble rolling down the hillside, heralding the arrival of an avalanche.